Race fans, the 100% Cup Series welcomes you to Rockingham, North Carolina. You're going to see door slamming, bumper-to-bumper racing all night long, but tonight's broadcast is about more than just the on-track competition. This race and the accompanying broadcast go out to a young man with the spirit of a warrior, as well as his incredible family who have been alongside him in lockstep as he's bravely fought this difficult battle. All season long, you may have noticed special ribbons on various cars as they've raced on track with the words Jimmystrong. I'm joined by Jimmy's uncle and 100% Cup Series regular, Dustin Hall. Dustin, I want to thank you for joining us here at 3YTV tonight.
Thank you, Andre. It's great to be here.
Well, Dustin, it's going to be an exciting race and a very special broadcast. What are you looking forward to, man?
First off, I want to thank the league. Thank you guys at 3YTV for having me in the booth on a special night where we celebrate my nephew, Jimmy. Honor him in this Jimmystrong 400. Rockingham, it's a tough track, and I can't see a venue more befitting of the young man that it's honoring tonight. The racing is going to be fierce, just as Jimmy's fight has been with the element that he's currently fighting. So I'm excited to see some great racing. But again, like you mentioned, Andre, it's very a strong representation of what we're honoring. Race-wise, it's a bumpy track. It's a very tough track to race. Several times in previous broadcasts, I mentioned the aero platform of these race cars, and how hard it is to keep just a steady aero downforce, aero platform. Add bumps to the track surface, Andre. You've got a handful. You know, as we see some issues in practice already. You unload that rear end, the rear end comes up, you lose that downforce to your diffuser around the car comes, and it's a very tough track to race. So I think we'll see some guys who are struggling with stability. But all in all, I expect a really good race, Andre.
I think it's going to be an amazing race, and hopefully these guys put on a show for Jimmy and yourself and his family. Rockingham, it's a track that's going to be a little bit unfamiliar to these guys. It's been off the primary NASCAR schedule since, I believe, about 2004 or 2005. So going on 20 years now since any Cup car has touched the surface here. And some of these guys may not even be old enough to really remember too many races here. So it's a very irregular track, very strange shape, not your usual tri-oval. Turns 1 and 2 specifically are very tight corners. That outside wall when you're coming out of 2, it loves to reach out and give you a love tap now and again. You talk about the Darlington stripe, but I think you're just as likely to maybe make a mistake here. We got about a minute and a half left of practice. And I don't want to put you on the spot here, Dustin, but in the meantime, Jimmy does have a GoFundMe page. Would you like to say anything about that?
Yeah, I don't know if we have those links posted in the comments or anything, but we can make sure that happens. Really reluctant to reach out for help. My sister, who will be joining us later in this broadcast, we're excited about that. Excited to have Callie here. My sister, Jimmy's mom, one of the strongest women I know. You know, I talk about my heroes and I get emotional, and it's definitely going to be one of those nights, guys. So she's amazing. She doesn't ask for help from anybody for anything. But there has been an outreach that is so overwhelming and so powerful that I'm sure she'll touch on that when she joins us later on. But yeah, that'll be shared in the comments. If you would like, if you feel inclined to reach out and help Jimmy in his fight, also with his mom and family and all those affected, it's greatly appreciated.
It takes a lot of strength to ask for help, but it's one of those times where the community really shines, and I've seen a lot of support, either emotional or financial, and it's just great to see. Sometimes people really come together, and it gives you a lot of faith in people. It really does. It's awesome to see, and hopefully the support continues to flow towards you and your family, Dustin, and especially Jimmy. We're hoping to see it. But the cars are gridding up. So for the most famous word in motorsports, how about the man himself, Jimmy?
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Awesome.
And the drivers have got those things fired up. Here's your starting grid for tonight in the Jimmystrong 400. Jonathan Delaney on the pole. That's not really a surprise to anybody, I don't think. Adam Benefield, P2. I think you know a thing or two about that 83 machine there, Dustin. Alex Murray and Bryson Hicksenbach. It's 3 and 4. Bryson coming off a win last week. Robert Anderson, Michael Conti, Coke Series driver, going to be P6. Blake Giglio, Cameron Stone, 7 and 8. Cameron Stone coming fresh off a suspension. It's a bit of an opposite story of Bryson Hicksenbach. 9 and 10 are going to go to Jason Taylor and Brandon Pierce. Dustin, how about 11 on back?
11th, we've got Mike Christopher. Starting 12th, Lucas Hoitzma. 13th, we're going to have Brandon Hastings, actually Team Conti team president, team leader, racing with us tonight. 14th, Ralph Hutchinson. RJ Root in 15th. David Duke rolling off 16th. Jason Baker 17th. Jeremy Miller 18th. Rob Tracy 19th. Sean O'Brien 20th.
And from 20th on back, we've got Tanner Marty, Dave Few Jr., Nolan Hodgson, Chad Sander. Nolan has been in and out of the session due to connection issues, so we'll see if he is able to get through the early portion of this race. But I believe Chad Sander will be the tail end of the field, unless I'm reading this wrong. Let's scroll.
We've got a few more. We've got Randy Drumhiller, Matt White, Jeff Hooper, Dalton Mobley, Kevin Steele starting 29th, Alex Princeton 30th, Preston McRae 31st, and starting 32nd with provisional, Cody Bird.
The green flag waves. Jonathan Delaney rockets out to a one-car length lead. Benefield is going to drop down to the bottom. Not really wasting too much time up top. I'm seeing a lot of cars in this pack drop to the bottom. Look at this, all the way back in 5th place. You got Cameron Stone making a move on the high side around Michael Conti, and then he drops back to that yellow line. We've single filed out for the most part here until you get to Brandon Pierce, who's currently side by side with Robert Anderson. Dustin, I'm noticing a lot of drivers dropping to that yellow line. Is that the place to be here at Rockingham?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to take care of your tires here, you definitely need to be hugging that yellow line. You can run a little harder, a little faster, and a little more secure up top, less bumps, but it does wear that right front tire out. So you see a lot of drivers early in this stage opting to run that yellow line. Another interesting thing, this first stage is 90 laps, and you can go that far on a tank of gas here. So are these guys single filing out to take care of those tires to be able to stretch at those 90 laps? Or are you going to see some guys really rush it and then cut this stage in half if it does go green?
Speaking of guys rushing it, Dustin, Cameron Stone started 8th. He's already up to P4. He just muscled his way around Bryson Hicksenbach. He's got Michael Conti in tow. Michael Conti and Cameron Stone have kind of been carving their way through the field together, bumper to bumper. Conti's just kind of letting that 57 open the floodgates, and then he just follows him through. It's been a tactic that's working so far. But man, I know how rough this track is on tires. I gotta wonder if this is gonna come back to bite him later on. We gotta move for the lead. Alex Murray with a huge lunge in the tri-oval. Jonathan Delaney actually got on the brakes. He checked up there, Dustin. I'm not sure if something's wrong with that number 6 or if he was just trying to concede the position for somebody.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to just that tire saving tactic. Alex is wanting to push it a little bit harder. You're seeing Cam Stone do the same thing. I think you may be seeing guys show their hands saying, hey, you know, we know there's going to be cautions. We're going to go ahead and go get that track position now, and we'll deal with the tires later.
It definitely could be, and you know, this is a very big change of pace for these guys. We're coming off of a couple tracks now where tire wear really didn't matter. I mean, especially just a couple weeks ago back at Sonoma, there were drivers who pretty much didn't take tires the entire race because with this new tire model and the new next-gen car. Some things have just kind of went awry within the sim, and tire wear got a little bit wonky. But now we're coming to Rockingham, where I've heard a few of the drivers really mention there's some severe fall-off, so maybe some of these guys a little out of practice when it comes to saving.
Yes, definitely, and it's a very hard thing to do. Um, you race cars to pass people. That's just what you love about it. That's what you want to go do, and you get somebody in front of you, and it's just that carrot dangling in front of your face, and you just want to go get it. And it's really hard to keep that frame of mind of, nope, it's a long race. I'm just going to ride this out. We'll see what happens, as the race goes on.
Absolutely, and this will be one of those races that is fun to watch develop, because I think the drivers you see that are fast at the beginning may not be the drivers that are fast at the end. As we have a pass for third place, Cameron Stone's going to work his way around Adam Benefiel. That puts him in a podium position. And I think you're right, Dustin. We're seeing the drivers who are showing their hands and kind of saying, all right, I'm going to go full send right now. We're seeing the drivers that are being a little bit more patient. I see that out of Adam. I see that out of Jonathan Delaney. They're taking a little bit more conservative lines and not cranking on the wheel as much. So it's interesting. I think when it comes to this car and track combo, really this car was never meant to come to this track. Again, it's not even on the real NASCAR schedule. So the setup for the car, I mean, obviously it's an open setup league, so when it comes to exactly how you've got your car adjusted, it's completely up to you. But a lot of times there's a lot of information and a lot of resources to build your setup with. You've got professional drivers that are working on setups because the official calendar is going to go there. You also have the official series that will give you a default setup that you can then build off of. Not the case for Rockingham. With Rockingham, there's really not those resources. Everybody's starting from scratch. And I think it's been an interesting week for the crew chiefs and the mechanics.
Oh, absolutely. I spent some time with my teammates. Bryce and Hicksenbach, Adam Benefiel, and Michael Conti we're all part of Team Conti in the Coke Series. We worked on setups throughout the week, and I'm telling you, man, like, you make one small change that you think should work, and you're completely dialed out of the ballpark. It becomes undrivable for 2 or 3 laps. But you have to get through those 2 or 3 laps to know if the change you made, of how it affects you long run. It's such a tough thing to get a hold of, to grasp, and to actually efficiently test. So it's you're absolutely right, man. I'm watching Conti and Adam, and I know their strategy is to take it easy, to save those tires. Little interesting thing about Conti in that one car. Obviously, normally that's my ride, so we had to get a little smaller seat for it and get Conti put in it. And but he was very excited to fill in for this event with again the meaning behind it. Did not hesitate, and for a cook, I had to take time out of his Saturday night to come hang out with us and drive that car for me. I'm honored, and I'd be remiss if I did not at some point through this broadcast tell him thank you, Michael, for doing this for us, for Jimmy, and let's go get it, bud.
Another example of the community coming together and people just stepping up to do something good, and just do what's right. It's awesome to see, and we're glad to have Michael in this race. Going back to a comment you made about making a few laps on a setup, despite it maybe not feeling the best in his first few laps, I know all too well about that debate. I've raced RC cars for a very long time, and the setups on those things can get just as convoluted as real cars. And my dad and I, we've always gone back and forth, because he'll make a setup change on his car. He'll make half a lap and say, no, it's garbage. We got to change it. I'm like, no, let's make a few more laps. We don't know yet, but he's always anxious to make some changes. And I see the same thing on iRacing. I know Cam, he's that way. He makes a setup change, makes it half a corner, and he's thinking, nope, don't like it. He's back in the pit. So I think patience pays off when it comes to building setups, and we're really going to see who got it figured out today.
And it's amplified with this next gen car. The way it'll drive laps 1 through 10 will differ greatly from 30 to 40. Again, you're dealing with different aero platforms. You run a softer spring package. You have to run we've got a caution on the speedway. Is that? Let's see what's going on here. Big pile up.
I'm hearing Mobley, Sanner, few drivers involved in a bit of a pile up here. We'll try to dial up a replay as soon as we can, but a little bit of calamity here on lap 19 out of 400. Of course, stage 1 being in 90 laps, this makes things a little bit more interesting for stage 1, some decisions to be made on behalf of drivers. But here we go for our 3x3 replay. Looks like just a little squirrely out of turn 2, hard into the outside wall, and then tags Mobley. He had nowhere to go. I mean, he was a bystander in that, Dustin. He just...
Yeah. Man. Yeah, he got loose. Let's see, that was Chad Sanner, loose off the corner, overcorrected. And once this thing gets over on that left rear, it's really hard to keep it from darting to the wall. And when he came off the wall, back down into Dalton Mobley, and yeah, Mobley with nowhere to go. Later, he comes up and collects the 40. Who was that? The 44 of Drumhiller. Big damage on his car as well. Just a simple car got loose, amplified into a big calamity there for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, unfortunate to see disaster strike so early. But as I mentioned, the drivers have some decisions now. Dustin, I mean, do you pit? Do you take tires? Do you conserve the tire limit? According to the announcements page, if I can pull this up, our tire limit for tonight is 9 sets. So I would assume 1 on the car, 8 behind the wall. Realistically, you know, you could take an extra set here and there with that high of a limit, but is it worth it this early?
I think this, right now, those guys who saved, and that's kind of what I'm seeing, about half the field in, half the field not. Waiting for my telemetry to cycle back around, but it looks like the majority did stay out. But yeah, those guys who pushed their tires early may have been tempted to come down and take tires now. Those who have been saving, I don't think they were tempted, Andre. I think they just knew we gotta save tires, and they're just still in that conserve mode.
And even with not taking tires, these guys that are conserving, things are a little bit easier for them now as we're making, you know, between 3 and 4 laps under pacing conditions, which is a lot less stress on the tires, and so kind of slowing down the degradation. So patience paying off here, but it will be Alex Murray leading the field to the restart. So we opted to take inside the line, and we've made a mistake. According to our producer, stage 1 is not 90 laps. It is in fact 85 laps. So disregard what I said earlier. I have made a mistake, as I tend to do quite a bit on these broadcasts.
I think that was me. I'll own that one, Andre.
Pace car makes the hard left turn, and Alex Murray gets a great start, and Cameron Stone, on the other hand, he's going the wrong way as John Delaney is going to move down to the bottom lane, possibly take second place. Michael Conti also gaining position on this restart as he passes Adam Menefield on the bottom, and now for second place, they're going to be side by side into 3 and 4. Alex Murray getting a bit of a bump draft there, Dustin, on the back straightaway. I don't think Rockingham's really much of a bump drafting track, do you?
Yeah, I think that may have been just to send him kind of thing. Just let's see if you can hold on to this. I'm here. Make you make a mistake and pass you the easy way.
Just an update, Dalton Mobley has taken it behind the wall officially, so he is out of the race. Go ahead, Dustin.
Cam Stone retains second place, got back around John Delaney on the outside, and now sets his sights on Murray. Dives to the bottom of the tri-oval. They are side by side into one. It looks like Murray's going to let him go.
Cam definitely not worrying about conservation for the moment. He's worried about speed and leading laps. Now, there's been a little bit of discussion when we've been playing games and stuff over the week. Cam's talked a lot about post-suspension Cam. I think you might remember a couple seasons ago there, Dustin. Cam got suspended, came back for Bristol, led nearly every single lap, and then went on to win a couple more races in succession. So he's been kind of actually looking forward to coming back from the suspension, hoping that maybe lightning strikes twice, and according to how he's running so far, maybe it is.
Well, me opted to jump in the booth. I can always say he didn't beat me in this race, so that no matter what happens for you there, Cam.
Looks like we may have a problem with Ralph. Stopped on the backstretch and then taking a tow. So unfortunate there.
Behind the wall. We'll see what happened. Take a look at the replay.
Now we do have the new damage model, so he may have lost a tire, as it looks like somebody got squirrely above him, sent him driver side first into that inside retaining wall.
Oh,
Where
that's
there
a
used to
broken
be
toe
pit
link. You can see
road.
that left front layover.
Yeah.
It's that broken toe link.
Yeah, that is completely snapped off, and there's really not much repairing that as far as the sim's concerned, right, Dustin?
You know, I don't know. I haven't tried to fix it. I don't know how long that repair is.
Yeah, either way, it would probably be a good good few minutes. That was
He's
quite a hit.
Yeah, he's definitely, his hopes of winning this race are done.
iRacing opting to keep things green for that incident. It was one car. Well, technically it was two cars, but only one car heavily involved, and he was beneath the racing surface, so we were able to stay green. And it was a bit of netcode that ultimately sent him around, as our producer kind of pointed out. It wasn't quite contact, but either way, things were getting squirrely, and we're noticing this pattern, Dustin. Turn 2 is the trouble spot, particularly where that banking transitions from that steep banking down to that straightaway. Drivers are getting really loose, and I've even noticed some drivers, when they hit that bump on exit, it's more towards the bottom of the track. The rear end of the car actually gets bounced up into the air. They're almost lifting off the ground entirely. Is that a setup thing with the suspension, or is that just kind of unavoidable?
With this track surface, there wasn't much I could do to keep that from happening. Like I said, trying to keep just a solid aero platform when the car is pogoing so hard, regardless of your springs or other options you put into your setup. I think it's a byproduct of what this racing surface is.
Absolutely, it is a very rough track. It has not been repaved in well over 3 decades. So we have another yellow flag. Looks
Another
like
crash on the back straightaway.
RJ Root goes across. Turn 2 again. Try and dial up a replay when we can. Looks like some damage to the passenger side of the machine. Blue-eyed TV replay up on your screen. Let's take a closer look at what happened here. I believe that is... I'm not sure if he got some help there or not, but went around, backed it into that inside wall. Again, not too much damage it was seeing, but let's take a different look at this. Watch that 16 behind him. The number 8 gets swirly. And after he bobbles right there, he's already sideways as it is, but then the 16
Blake
just
finishes him off.
not quite checking up in time. That's a shame, but luckily faring better than Ralph did earlier in that exact same position. So, man, oh man. And then right here, we got another near incident.
The Jimmystrong ribbon. Who is this? Oh, it's okay. Rob Tracy in the 33 saves it.
As our producer's pointing out, we've got some mixed ideologies here coming down pit road. Some drivers coming down, Bryson Hixenbaugh among them. Other drivers staying out once again. Interesting strategy here in stage 1.
Yeah, I'm seeing 3 different strategies now. My telemetry shows me those who have not pitted at all, those who pitted last caution, and now those who have pitted this caution. And it's looking like thirds for the most part of those who have chosen each option. It's going to be interesting to see what pays off. You know, whether these new tires can come up through the pack and still conserve, end up with the same type of tire wear toward the end of this stage, but have a little more speed due to the fresher rubber.
And it was a quite significant number of drivers that came down pit road. Cody Bird, Dave Fugue, Alex Brinson, RJ Root, of course, getting some damage fixed. We kind of expected him to pit. Matt White also came down pit road. Jeff Hooper, Jeremy Miller, Tanner Marty, Robert Anderson, and I believe the last driver to come down pit road was Alex Murray. And then ahead of him, you got all the guys who stayed out. Blake Giglio. Actually, no, Blake and Bryson both pitted. Then you have the guys that stayed out. Cameron Stone, Kevin Steele, Duke in 78. So very differing strategies, and we're going to have a bit of, I think, a bit of a collision in speed here. Some of the guys up front going to be a little bit slower on these old tires. Some of the guys in the back a little bit quicker, and they're going to come together real quick.
Absolutely. I'm showing 7 drivers who have not pitted yet this race. And looking at these names, you see Delaney, you see Conti, you see Benefil, you see guys who have been taking care of their tires. Brandon Hastings up to P8 also has not taken tires, and I've been watching his pace throughout the race, and it has been very, very slow as he conserves those tires. So I'm really not surprised to see some of these guys still just sticking to their guns, staying out, protecting their rubber.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall order to protect that rubber, though. I mean, it's an interesting strategy, and I can't wait to see how this plays out for these guys. We do have one to green, so it'll be Jonathan Delaney leading them to the green, and of course Michael Conti on the outside in that number 1. We got Lucas Hoitzma, 07, starting on row 2. Adam Benefield right alongside him. Jason Baker, Jason Taylor. Now, Jason Taylor is an interesting case. He's probably put more practice into this track than the majority of drivers, and he had a lot of pace. He was very confident coming into this week, so currently running just outside the top 5. We'll follow along with him, see what he can do in that number 12 machine. But base car coming into 3 and 4, lights are off, and I gotta wonder where exactly John's gonna take off, because he does have those older tires. He's got to think about tire slip, so maybe accelerating in the corner is not the best idea. He may be forced to wait till he's on more level ground with the wheel a little bit straighter. We'll find out. Pace car coming down pit road. Now the decision is on hands to number 6. Yep, on the straightaway, just where the real-life restart zone would likely be. He's going to get a good jump on those old tires, Dustin. I mean, you know as well as I do, that's tough to get a start that good on older tires.
Yeah, old tires, old racing surface. It's very difficult to get that horsepower to the ground, not slip those tires and create a gap for yourself like that. Also created a big enough gap. You know, you could see the difference between the first place starter and third place starter in that restart, where that gap was created and it was large enough for Conti on the outside to go ahead and fill that gap, and falling behind John there in second place.
Speaking of John, he is just barely clinging to the lead as the number 1 is applying heavy pressure. It's pressing square to intimidate, coming through 3 and 4. John gets a little squirrely. Big squirrely coming out of turn 4, actually. Conti has to check up.
Yeah, that square to intimidate, that's a league theme right there. Definitely happening. New leader, Conti has passed John Delaney and is the 1 car in their 1 position.
Michael Conti in his League Series debut, taking the lead in that elite performance of Jimmystrong Camaro. But a sight sees we have a slight incident with the number 16. I noticed him up against that outside wall. Jonathan Delaney continuing to be a little loose. I'm not exactly sure what transpired there, but some separation in the field now.
Jason Taylor, you mentioned him under that caution. He is now second place, has run Conti down. He has about 18 lap fresher tires than Conti. He pitted on that first caution, and we are going to have a battle for the lead before too long.
Yeah, I think that battle is happening as we speak. The number 12 is on the bumper, and we're going to have to wait and see where he makes the move. As our producer pointed out, fastest lap of the race was just set by the number 12, that being a 24.249, which is just about a qualifying time here at Rockingham, Dustin. That is a blazing fast lap. He will take the lead down on the bottom. Again, all of this speed is coming at a cost. You got to think he's burning those tires up. We've still got about half the stage left. We're on 41 out of 85. So what strategy would you be on right now, Dustin? Would you be trying to take it easy, or would you be going full send like Jason and Cam here?
I would be driving to my limits, most likely, which here at this track, I'd probably be conserving tires. That would be kind of just a byproduct of me driving this one a little more careful. Jason was very fast though, like you mentioned before. He put in, I think it was 300 plus laps in one session last night, or a couple nights ago. He has put in the work. He has put in the time. He should know as well as anybody what his tires are going to do long run. And I think we'll see. Unfortunately, Andre, I think it's not going to be a matter of if he falls back. It's going to be a matter of how far he falls back, unfortunately.
And when does the plateau hit? He's got about 40 laps to go, and I would think maximum tire wear is going to kick in before that 40 lap mark. So we'll have to wait and see. Ahead of him, he also has something we maybe weren't expecting to see quite so soon. We've got lap traffic. Randy Drumhiller is in danger of going a lap down and putting himself in a lucky dog position, as he has some damage from that first incident earlier in the night. The car is just not looking too healthy. It kind of sounds like he's down on revs a little bit, so not a lot of pace. I don't think it's going to be too difficult for Jason to get around him, but it doesn't take much. You know, sometimes you find yourself struggling to get around some lap traffic, you lose some time, and right now that can't happen for Jason. Like you said, it's not a matter of if he falls off, it's when. So what he's got to do now is he's got to build as big of a gap as he can, so that when those tires do fall away, he's as far into the sunset as he can possibly be, and he's got a cushion. It makes Michael Conti do a lot of work to try to catch up.
You know, we have 10 laps since we went green, and I'm looking at my the running order here as we see battle for second. Oh gosh! Oh no!
Ooh, big incident, turn 1.
Baker, Jason Baker.
He's gonna try to
dial up a replay.
Keep your eyes on that 51 machine coming through the corner. Got a little bit of help there, I think. Bit of a nudge, and that sent him around. A few other cars kind of ping-ponging off one another. Try to dial up a different angle and see what happened further ahead. I was turn 3, I apologize, not turn 1, but a huge hit from the 81. And then the 28 also involved Cameron Stone slipping by on the bottom, as well as a few other drivers. But man, that was a huge send. I'm not sure what that was all about from the 81.
Makes you wonder if there was if this was part 2 of their saga. The way that he just absolutely ran him over. You're right.
Yeah, a little bit baffling, but I gotta point out, man, there was a lot of drivers that just parted the Red Sea right there, getting around on the bottom and the top. Man, oh man. We got leaders down pit road as well. Looks like Jason Taylor making his way down pit road. Michael Conti behind him. Brandon Pierce staying out to inherit the lead. Bryce Nixonbaugh also staying out. Okay.
Alex Murray, Robert Anderson all staying out. Cameron Stone staying out.
Man, oh man.
Just a mixed bag of strategy.
We've had more strategy in stage 1, Dustin, than I think we've had in the last 3 races.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, see, what was our longest green flag run? Maybe 15 laps to start the race. Oh, it was about 19 laps to start the race. Since then, we've been going in about 10 lap stints. So maybe what we're seeing is some of those guys who took the RC car approach and, yeah, this feels good for 3 laps. Didn't really stick it out long enough to know what it did lap 11, and maybe should have. Although this one was this caution, I can't really say that it was somebody who lost grip on exit 2. You like the previous cautions.
Well, they lost grip. It just it wasn't
the rear
for the
tires off. Somebody lifts your rear tires off the track, yeah, you tend to lose grip.
Yeah, just a little bit, just a wee bit. You know, another interesting thing about all these yellows too is we've had 3 cautions so far for cause, and really not that many drivers dropping behind the wall and DNFing as a result. We've had a few single car incidents where the drivers have continued to race, so the field hasn't thinned out a whole lot. We've still got almost as many cars as we started with, which means the potential for more yellow flags is still there, and I got to think that maybe some of these guys are starting to factor that into their strategy decisions.
Yeah, we're still sitting with 28 cars of the 32 started the race, still on the lead lap. And you're absolutely right. The other 4, those were those we saw with the big damage. Drumhiller, Hutchison, Sander, and Mobley, who has retired from the race. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of opportunity for more of these mashups. So the mixed bag of strategy that we're seeing is very befitting of what you would expect with a race that has this many cautions. It'll open up opportunity for people to gamble to get that track position, stay out in front of the wrecks, stay out in front of it, as they save tires, as we come around to take the 1 to green. Yeah, it's going to be interesting and difficult to track who still has tires for us up here in the booth.
Yeah, it's kind of a hopeless endeavor trying to keep track of what's going on here because everybody's on a different strategy. I do want to point out there's some bad news for Robert Anderson, who was in the 81 that kind of initiated that caution. I'm looking at Jason Baker's car, and doesn't have a whole lot of damage, so he's still in this thing, and I gotta wonder if sparks are gonna fly if these guys get back together after that one. We'll have to wait and see. But lights are out on the pace car. It's going to be Brandon Pierce leading the field of the green for the first time tonight, and Bryson Hickson-Bob, who again has been on a bit of a hot streak lately, coming off of a win last week and a D2 win last night. So, man, oh man, it's going to be a stacked front row. As behind them, you got Alex Murray, Robert Anderson, Cameron Stone, Jeremy Miller. You got some speed, so let's see what happens. It's the 38. It's a bit of a late start there. I think he waited till the last possible minute, the sim green flag, as you would say. But it works out for him as he gets out to a lead, and they're almost going to go side by side for second. Alex Murray thought better of that, actually backed out just a little bit, allowing Bryson to get around on the outside. Now some separation as Robert Anderson tails the number 28. And behind these guys, we got our first side-by-side battle. That's Cameron Stone alongside Jeremy Miller. Cam trying to get around the bottom, which again is the place to be, but do you think the top line is going to start to become a bit more of a factor as these guys lay some rubber down?
You know, I don't know. I never was able to, we never had a test with enough cars to find out. We were never able to rubber the track in. It may. As we have a pass for the lead, Bryson passing Brandon Pierce for the lead down the front straightaway. Pierce will let him go. We got Murray following him as Pierce will look for a place to get down and avoid the freight train.
He's going to have to find somewhere to slot down. He does have a bit of a gap between Robert Anderson and Jeremy Miller, if he can somehow work his way there, but the gap is closing as Jeremy Miller is gaming on these guys, so might be that Brandon gets trapped on the high side just a little longer. No. Yes, the 30 is going to get underneath him, which is bad news for Brandon, and he's trying to fight back on that high side. It's just not working so far. And again, it's kind of an unknown, like you said, whether or not the top's going to rubber up enough to become viable. But at the moment, we're seeing that it's very clearly not the place to be. He's dropped from the lead all the way back into now 6th place, I believe, as he crosses the stripe. He's got Jason Taylor behind him, also threatening. I'm a little bit confused here because I've seen a couple times where the 38 could have gotten down low and he's stuck to that high line and he's continued to concede positions because of it. Do you think he's just not too confident in the car right now with the tires that he's got? He knows what kind of equipment he has, so he's just kind of riding, trying to get out of these guys' way.
He is one of 3 of the guys who pitted 2 cautions ago. Everybody who's coming around him either pitted last caution or 3 ago. All these other guys coming by him either pitted 2 cautions ago or last caution. So he's on the oldest tires on the track. He's one of 3 of those drivers who are on that strategy. I think he's just going at paying his I'm stammering here, but I think he's paying for what he decided to do, his strategy call. He's made his bed, he's sleeping in it, kind of a deal.
Absolutely. Sometimes make the right call, sometimes make the wrong call, and sometimes you don't know whether the call was right or wrong until the checkered flag flies. So we'll follow along with him. But a few laps ago on lap 55, we are now on lap 59, Michael Conti set the quick lap of the event with a 24.133, so that's actually a 10th better, a little over a 10th, in fact, than the next fastest lap of the race, which was Jason Taylor's 24.2.4. So quite a lot of pace out of that number 1. His team makes a pass on the high side, that's about a first, Dustin. I don't think I've seen anybody make a pass on the high side except for Michael. He made it work. He's up into P4. He's hunting down these leaders.
Yeah, and I look down. He's behind a couple of the guys who are on the same tire strategy as he is, Jason Taylor and Jonathan Delaney. And then I look back, and he's making these moves just ripping the wall. He's just going to the front. As you see him come around Robert Anderson now, up to 3rd place.
And he is just slinging around that high line. And I noticed him doing this earlier when he was in traffic and he wasn't really charging towards the front. He was on older tires, just kind of riding around. I noticed him using that high line in 3 and 4 specifically. I gotta think he was just kind of feeling it out, experimenting, and having done that and run that high line for a few laps back when he had those old tires, now that he's got good tires, he's like, okay, I know how to run this line, and I'm going to use that to my advantage. Clearly, it is an advantage for him as he's up to P2 now, right on the back bumper of Bryson Hixenbach.
Look for him to do it again. And the interesting thing, well, the challenging thing in 3 and 4, you have a very, very different track surface, bottom to top. On the bottom, you're going to slow down a little bit. You're going to conserve your tires, as we see Conti has taken the lead on that top side of 3 and 4, where it's smoother. The bottom to about middle of the track, it's really, really bumpy. About middle of the corner, there's a heavy bump that really upsets the rear end of the car, makes you wait on the throttle. About the 2/3 of the way up, that kind of goes away. So up where Conti's running, clear up by that wall, you can really mat the throttle up there, and it kind of straightens out into that tri-oval, where you can go ahead and keep it matted. What you end up doing to your right front tire, I guess we'll find out if we get a long green flag run here and see if Conti can hold on to this pace.
Yeah, sometimes these Coke Series drivers just do things that make your jaw drop and that you didn't even think were possible. I mean, 10 laps ago, Dustin, 10 laps ago, we were saying, yeah, I don't think the top's really going to be viable until some rubber comes in. And even then, we're not sure, even if the rubber comes in, if it's going to be as good as the bottom. And then Michael comes along and he says, I don't need rubber up there. I'm just going to send it. And it worked.
Well, I know Adam tunes into these broadcasts during these races, Adam Benefield, and he's in a radio channel with Michael Conti. Maybe he told him that, and Conti had to prove me wrong.
Yeah, that could be. I know Adam has called me out on some things I've said that are inaccurate before because he's listening to the broadcast. So, leave it to Adam to not only be one of the fastest guys on track, but to know more than the commentators while he's racing and be able to correct them. That's Adam for you.
Yeah.
And he's actually on a really good run right now. He's got Jonathan Delaney behind him, but both of these guys, Adam Benefield and John Delaney, are sneaking up on Alex Murray and Jason Taylor, slowly picking off laps a little bit quicker. And Adam is hugging that yellow line, just trying to find his way around. But John, he says, I'm going to take that Michael Conti line. He goes to the top, but unfortunately his path is kind of blocked by the 28 there. 3 wide going into turn 1. John Delaney in the middle. And that forced Murray to concede the position. Now the question is, who's going to give between Adam Benefield and John Delaney? Looks like John's going to get the advantage going into the corner. Now Benefield's going to pull up alongside him, taking this shorter route around the track, but it's going to be John with that added momentum from the high side, clearing him into 3rd place. Now trying to run down Jason Taylor for 2nd, but speaking of battles, there's not really a battle for the lead. Look at this. A huge gap has formed already to Michael Conti. 2 seconds between Conti and Taylor. And Jonathan Delaney now making a move for 2nd place, making a late stage charge here as we're about to reach lap 70 out of 85. So it'll be 16 to go in the stage as our leader takes the stripe. Can John close this gap?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm looking at the lap times, and Conti had been laying down about the fastest lap of the fastest lap each lap. I take that back until the last lap. Delaney did run a 10th better. We'll see where they stack out this lap.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, the lap times we were seeing from John before, he was in traffic, kind of navigating other cars, so that's going to slow him down a little bit. But I'm curious to see how his pace matches up against Michael Conti, because I really do think that number 1 right now is the car to beat. So very close, but right now I would give the edge to that number 1. Number 6 getting really loose, and this has been the trend all night long, Dustin. We've watched Jonathan Delaney all but wave to the infield fans sometimes coming out of turns 2 and 4, but he's keeping it under control. Is that added sliding giving him short run speed that may be hindering him in the long run?
Yeah, definitely. John Delaney's a heck of a wheelman. I give him a hard time all the time because he makes it easy. But Jonathan Delaney is a very good driver. But he will, if it's a free car, he will go ahead and he'll burn it off, but somehow maintains pace. He has actually run about 1/10 to 2/10 faster per lap than Michael Conti has. with his car yacht out and like you say, waving to the fans in the infield. I don't know that the one has him covered right now, and that may be because of those aggressive moves that Michael Conti put on early on in this run. Maybe he's paying the price for that, for those moves made.
You got to imagine that for somebody like John, who kind of has Coke Series aspirations and has kind of been working towards that for pretty much the entirety of his iRacing career, this has got to be heaven for him. I mean, he's right behind Michael Conti, one of the best drivers in the Coke Series. Not only is he behind him, but he's slowly running him down. He knows that his pace is comparable to him. So that's got to be one massive confidence boost for the driver of the number 6. But I'll tell you what, Dustin, I don't know if I can handle Jonathan Delaney if he gets any more confident than he already is.
Oh yeah. No, we'll put in some team orders before that happens. No, he's a very good driver. He knows he's a good driver as well, and that's why he makes it easy for me to go ahead and throw daggers his way at times.
And I tell you what, he's watching Michael Conti and he's learning, because John, over the last lap or two, has now migrated to the top. He's not running the bottom anymore, and I got to wonder if he's not watching Michael in front of him, kind of using that diamond line where he enters low, drifts up high, and now John's trying to do the same thing, saying, all right, maybe there's something to this. Maybe there's some speed. We're on lap 77 out of 85, so less than 10 to go in the stage. The gap is continuing to close, and that lap, Michael Conti actually got checked up by some lap traffic just a little bit. That was Preston McRae in that Twisted T number 53. Didn't really make that rhyme, but there we are. Now it's going to be down to John to try to navigate that same car. Preston did a great job letting the leaders go. And I know Rockingham is a little bit difficult to do that at times, because you build your car to run a certain lane, and then you got to move out of it to let the leaders go, and you never really know what that car's going to do. So props to Preston and everybody else just kind of doing the best they can out here as battle for the lead continues. Lap 79 out of 85, so 7 laps to go now in this stage. Michael Conti just flirting with that outside wall. John's running the high line, but Conti is running the high line. I mean, he is using that air bubble to its maximum effect there.
Yes, he is. As a driver, from a driver's standpoint, Jonathan Delaney was running, like I said before, about 1/10 to 2/10 faster than Conti. Conti moved up the track, not necessarily to show Delaney what to do here. He moved up because Delaney was running him down. So it's a little confusing to me. And watching Delaney drive now, maybe it's because he just got too loose on the bottom. But it's a little confusing to me that he would abandon the line that was working for him after he had made Conti change his line. That's it's interesting. I'd like to know the logic behind that.
Like you said, it could just be that he was starting to get a little bit looser in the corner on the bottom, and he just didn't feel quite as confident. Obviously, with the way that this tire model is, it's a little bit more realistic than we used to have, and you really can either burn up the right front, which is going to make you tighter, or you're going to burn up the right rear, which is going to make you looser as a run goes on. I think it's clear from visuals that John is getting looser as this run goes on. He was pretty planted at the drop the green, and now he's sliding more and more. So that right rear is fading, at least as far as I can tell. And running that high line is a good Band-Aid fix for that. Obviously, it's not really going to help your tire wear any, but it will kind of put a Band-Aid over the handling issues as gap has closed even more. It's 1 second flat as they cross the line, but I think John's going to run out of time here. We're on lap 83 out of 85. He's going to make something happen. It's got to happen quick. I don't think they're going to reach this lap traffic before the end of the stage. So if you're Michael, hit your marks. And, well, I mean, he's a Coke Series driver. I don't doubt that he's going to hit those marks.
Yeah. Tell you what, top 5 looks like the usual suspects in a stage. But the one standing out to me right now is Bryson Hicksabot in 5th place. He is on that older tire strategy where he pitted in the caution previous to where all these leaders pitted, and he has held on to the top 5 with 16 lap older tires than these guys. So several behind him on those fresher tires, and he's still able to hold them off. So Bryson on another pit strategy, maybe one to watch as we take the white flag to end stage 1 here.
As we've mentioned and kind of alluded to a couple times, Bryson's on a bit of a hot streak lately on iRacing, and I think his confidence was kind of hit a little bit by this next-gen car and kind of struggling to figure it out. But once he got it figured out and once he got that win, it seems like that put some wind in his sails. And like you said, he's doing great even in a car that's on a different strategy, older tires. But Michael Conti takes stage 1 here at Rockingham as there's a little bit of door slamming in front of him. Alex Princeton and David Duke are going to actually make contact as they aren't done with their stage yet. 10 drivers have now crossed the line, so caution does fly. But a dramatic end for our 25th and 24th place drivers as Michael Conti, John Delaney, Adam Benefield, Lucas Hoitzma, Bryson Hicksonbaugh, Jason Taylor, Brandon Hastings, Alex Murray, Jason Baker, and Michael Christopher are going to be the 10 drivers to snag a bonus point in tonight's event. Michael Conti, of course, getting a playoff point for the stage win, but not going to be competing in enough races, I don't think, to be in the playoffs. So just a little bit of style points here with the stage win. And after they come down pit road and get their car serviced, we'll try and have a word with our stage winner.
Yeah, sounds good. That was just a great performance, coming back through the pack, then holding on to what he could. I think he learned a lot about what his tire wear is going to do. And now I think we're going to see a reset button. I think we're going to see everybody come down pit road. Bird will stay out as the lucky dog there. But we'll see everybody come down, I believe, here and get fresh rubber.
Yeah, this is kind of a great reset in a way for some of these guys that were on differing strategies. Even if you just recently pitted, I think you have to pit now. So it's kind of putting everybody back on the same level playing field. And if we get some more cautions, that may shake things up again in terms of strategy. And we'll have to see. Honestly, I could see getting some yellow flags this stage. The field is still pretty heavy. A lot of cars still racing. And we're going to have a lot of cars on fresh tires. And for a lot of these guys who were on the more conservative sort of strategy, like Bryson Hicksonbaugh, who were on old tires, you get used to those old tires. You almost forget how to drive on those fresher tires, as John nearly wrecks himself trying to beat Michael Conti out of pit road. He just about gave that inside wall a love tap. He's going to cycle out second place. And now, Dustin, I'm going to go ahead and pull your friend and teammate Michael Conti down here for a quick interview, and we can have a word with him.
Sounds good. Michael Conti, Dustin Hall up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Mikey. How's it going, bud?
I'm just here for a Friday night drive, Mr. Hall. This is a long race, longer than I'm used to, so trying to just bide my time. But got a good car here, so just trying to do everybody proud. That's it. That's the only goal.
Well, awesome. Hey, I gotta let you know. First of all, congratulations on the stage win. Seeing that one car run up front, that's kind of new. Pretty exciting too. So that's an awesome job ripping that top at 3 and 4. What made you decide to go up there, man?
Got a lot of laps at this place, Dustin, and the last time I drove here a couple seasons back, the top was really good, and that was with the car being a bit different and the tire being a bit more forgiving. So not exactly the same as it is now, but I knew that at some point I want to go up there and see if I could make some time. And there's definitely some speed to be had up there. It's just the fine line of making speed and trying not to burn the tires off of it. So definitely burned them up that run, but knew we were coming to the end of the stage, so it was a good time to learn. I think Delaney's pretty quick. Got some good people in here, so just need to be smart about it. But I think we definitely have a good car and can make something happen here.
Awesome, man. I'm just excited you made the field this time. That's.
Hey, well, I got given the right information this time, so I wasn't going to screw it up.
Speaking of being given the right information as we go 1 to green, I'll be brief. I spoke with Adam, your car owner here, or our car owner, our boss, the boss. Spoke with the boss.
That guy.
He said, yeah, that guy. He said, hey, making sure Conti made it to the qualifying session, making sure he laid down a lap, making sure he got to the race. He said it was kind of like herding his kids to the school bus.
Well, probably not that much older than his kid, since Adam's getting pretty old. So I know he has a good idea what's going on. So he's back there, and I can't see him back there. So hopefully he's doing okay.
All right. Well, we'll get you back to your team. Good luck the rest of the way, bud.
Thank you.
Conti out of the booth, and a little shade on the boss man, and he's listening. So that's another interesting strategy decision tonight.
Well, he feeds it. We gotta give it back.
Pace car makes our left turn, and Michael Conti gonna get a good start. And hey, there's the boss man. I think maybe that lit a fire underneath Adam, because he pushed Michael across that start-finish line. There was no hesitation there from the 83. So we've got a couple of Conti boys up front. Jonathan Delaney, third place, trying to maybe make a move on Benefield, applying the pressure on the bumper, but of course backs off going into 3 and 4. Don't quite want to make any unnecessary contact this early. Smart move by John. Got Bryson Hixenbaugh in fourth. Now he's finally back on the same strategy as the guys in front of him, so we knew he was fast on old tires. See what he can do on fresh tires. As he's got Baker, Giglio, Hoytsma all behind him in line, and a lot of single file early on. There's maybe some patience out of these guys.
Yeah, maybe they got tired of pace laps.
That could be. These races are pretty long, like Michael Conti pointed out, and the more you pace, the longer they get. And that's something that's interesting to mention too, Dustin. Like Michael said, in the Coke Series, you don't run full-length races. Was there any advice you gave Michael for running these longer races?
I don't know. No, I didn't need to give him any advice. Michael Conti's a professional.
He is a professional, but even professionals can be kind of out of their element. And these longer races, man, I know everybody's kind of got their own ways of adapting to them and kind of figuring out how they're going to endure the whole thing. And it's a bit of a learning experience if you've never done it before. So it's fun to watch Michael out here running a full-length race and showing him how it's done.
Yeah, definitely. We have run a... I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, we have run a couple of those e-racer events, full-length races. I had the opportunity to be on Michael Conti's booth for one of those races, and he's got what it takes. He's got that it factor. He can manage it for the full length.
Absolutely, he's definitely showing that so far. We're getting to lap 100, and there is no signs of fatigue from anybody in the field. Really, these guys are still driving as if the green flag had just dropped, bumper to bumper, pretty much from the lead all the way back to, about 10th place. There's a bit of a gap between 10th place Michael Christopher and 11th place Cameron Stone. But other than that, we've got 10 cars under a blanket and just trying to figure out where they're going to make the overtaking opportunities. As look at this, a move for 5th. Jason Baker going to drop down underneath Bryson Hixenbaugh. That's going to put him in the top 5 now. He's got his sights set on Lucas Hoytsma in 4th place. And Lucas himself is showing some pretty good pace right now. He's been right behind Jonathan Delaney, pretty much following his tire tracks through the corners, not really showing any lack of pace at all. He's right there with them. But what is passing like here, Dustin? I mean, what is the strategy? Is it one of those tracks where you got to set a pass up far ahead of time, or is it just kind of a situation where you got to wait for a mistake?
Yeah, you've got to wait for the mistake for the most part. I mean, you can set it up. You need to time that the bumps between middle of 3 and 4, middle of 1 and 2. There's a bump, and in this car, if you're in the throttle when the rear end unloads, it's going to spin the tires. So you have to time that to where the car lands off of that bump and resets, and really be the first one to the throttle. If you can manage that, if you can time that right and master that, you're going to end up with a much better drive off than the guy in front of you. You're going to be able to make that pass, at least show a nose. And it's just so challenging to drive here. Early on in this race, you're probably not going to see a lot of guys challenge when the car behind you has run you down and shows you that nose. They're gonna give you the space because it's just so hard to drive side by side here, at least tight. It is wide, and as Conti showed us, we can widen out the groove quite a bit to clear to the wall and not have that issue at all. So if you can time the bumps and whatnot, then yeah, you are setting it up in that way. But for the most part, you got to put pressure on the guy in front of you. He's going to make a mistake at some point, and you just have to make sure that you don't at the same time.
Well said, well said. Just a quick update on Ralph Hutchison. He was sitting on pit road for quite some time trying to get the damage beat out of that thing and maybe a new steering link put on, but he has officially taken it behind the wall. But Dustin, we got a bit of a lull in the action, so you've got a family member that you want to bring up to the booth, maybe have a bit of a word. Let's go ahead and do that. So it'll be just a moment. We're going to let Dustin get things sorted out. We're going to have a word with his sister, Jimmy's mother, and she's going to say a little bit about her story and Jimmy's story, and we'll get to do that. It's going to take a minute for Dustin to get it set up. In the meantime, we got some great racing on track. Jonathan Delaney in third, trying to hunt down Adam Benefield, who his pace has not really fallen off. He's about 4/10 back from our leader, Michael Conti. And in the meantime, just some single file out as Jason Baker has continued to stall out behind Jason, or behind Lucas Hoytsma after making that pass on Bryson. Just a bit of a bottleneck here from third on back. These guys are bumper to bumper. So like Dustin said, just waiting for that mistake. Mistake almost came right there as Lucas got a little bit loose out of turn 4. That allowed Baker to get a huge run, and Baker kind of wisely backed out of that move. It was maybe possible, but would have been extremely aggressive. And again, like Dustin pointed out earlier, you're not going to see too much aggression this early in the stage. You got to be there at the end if you want to win this thing. So a lot of smart driving out of these guys up front. That's why they're up front. In the meantime, Cameron Stone also catching up. I mentioned there was a gap from 10th to 11th. Well, Cameron Stone has moved from 11th up into 10th, and these guys have caught this front train. So really, we've got cars lined up bumper to bumper all the way back to 15th. As Hodgson has a bit of a connection issue there. He's going to drop back one position to Brandon Hastings, the number 91. Just looking through the field here. Got a bit of a side-by-side battle. Michael Christopher, Brandon Pierce. Brandon leading the race earlier, showing that he's got some speed. He's now fighting for this 11th position. Christopher trying to run that high side. It's not quite going to work out for him, so he's going to drop back one more, and he's going to allow Brandon Pierce to take that 10th position. E10? Yes, it is. So Cameron Stone now in 9th, right behind Jason Taylor. I'm just really amazed by how close these guys all still are. We've been green for quite some time. Is a big moment for Alex Murray coming out of turn 2. Caught that on the camera.
Motor coach. Where's that?
He was
right there. Motor coach.
Incredibly sideways. But we're going to go to a crank it up for just a moment.
right, welcome back. Sorry, Andre. I thought a little miscommunication between us here. We're just so excited about this next segment. We got Callie with us in the booth. Again, Jimmystrong 400. Jimmy. It's in his honor. We have in the booth with us his mom, my sister, Callie. Welcome, Callie.
Thanks. How's everybody doing?
Fantastic. We're doing great. Watching some racing on a Saturday night. What more could we want?
Not much better than that.
So Callie, we have been kind of going through throughout the year, this race season anyway. A lot of. I mean, there's been a lot of paint schemes. There's been a lot of a lot of talk of Jimmystrong. What is Jimmystrong? What is this about, Callie?
Well, first off, thank you. That's been the most amazing thing. It's kept spirits up. It's been really good. Back in October of last year, 2021, Kobin started having some major back pain and hip pain, and it seemed to kind of move. It was really odd. We took him into the doctor a few times, had blood work over and over, had x-rays done numerous times. They couldn't really figure out what was going on. He ended up finally getting a phone call on a Thursday night saying, let's go up to the ER. The last x-ray showed a flat spot on his vertebrae. So we headed straight up to the Children's Hospital here, and he had some growth, some little lumps that had started growing up on his stomach and stuff in the last days right before that. And they ended up admitting us that night. We went through a few different diagnoses while they were trying to get to the actual problem. They ended up doing a massive surgery on his back, taking out a vertebrae that had collapsed. A tumor had grown inside of it and it had collapsed. So he was diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma, which is a pretty rare cancer that tends to happen in children. Often there's a few subtypes, embryonal and alveolar being the most common. Alveolar is much more aggressive, and Kobin was diagnosed with stage 4, group 4 alveolar rhabdomyosarcoma. So he wasn't given very long to live. They had told us probably 3 to 6 months. He is doing amazingly well right now. However, he's decided completely to stop treatment just in the last couple of weeks. Chemo makes him incredibly sick, and radiation does even more. And he was so tired and so done with it. He was sleeping most of the time or throwing up, doing very little of anything that he enjoyed. And he just felt like quality over quantity needed to be his mantra for the time being. So that's where he is right now. He's actually really enjoying this time with no treatment. When it relapses, which he has a 97% chance that it will, it will happen very quickly, and he will go right back to the worst of the worst for a few weeks before it will take him.
So, Callie, it was on the heels of this news and this decision by Jimmy. Now, keep in mind he's a 16-year-old warrior. He's a warrior, but he's 16 years old, and it was on the heels of that decision that I reached out to league admins, Damaris and Kevin. And let them know kind of where things were. It was that time they decided that they wanted to honor Jimmy with this Jimmystrong 400 race. How has the eNASCAR, let's say, or iRacing community touched your life or Jimmy's life through all this?
It has been absolutely incredible. Kobin didn't miss races from the very beginning. If there's a car with Jimmystrong on it, he checks it out. He loves to watch that. He thinks that's amazing. Kobin's a pretty private person. He likes to be pretty quiet about things, and so he wasn't comfortable at first with us using his name. Dustin's called him Jimmy since he was a little kid. His middle name's James, and so it worked out to start the Jimmystrong movement. And the racing community has embraced us and taken such amazing care of us. Seeing all of the Jimmystrong stickers and ribbons and paint jobs has been absolutely incredible. There have been donations, there have been packages sent to Kobin. They've just been absolutely incredible to us, and we can't thank them enough. Any of you guys, all of you guys, everyone in the racing community has been absolutely incredible to us.
That's awesome. While you were talking, kind of giving the background of Jimmy's condition, one of the Jimmystrong cars actually went and made a pass for the lead, and it's kind of walked away. Adam Benefield in an '83 Jimmystrong Chevy Camaro. Adam, a good friend of mine, right? Not just a teammate, a good friend of mine, has really embraced this cause. I know that I know Adam's perspective or view. What has been Jimmy's response to Adam last year dedicating the championship to him? Adam's input or influence, or what has that been for Jimmy?
When Jimmy's a pretty private guy, like I said, he's also a man of very few words, not many words. He doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't have a lot to say, but I haven't seen a smile like that in quite a while. When he dedicated that championship to Jimmy, man, that was a pretty happy kid right there. And going through treatment, I don't know, most people have seen somebody fight cancer, but where you literally never feel good enough to even, get up and go to the restroom. I mean, like, you're just feeling so yucky. Every little thing, every smile is so big to us. And that just meant everything to Kobin. He's really loved watching Adam and cheering for Adam ever since the very beginning, because Adam's been such a good support of Kobin. So we're super grateful for Adam.
I'm glad you touched on the what is this Kobin? Who is this Kobin fella? I'm glad you touched on that. And you're right. Way back when Kobin was born, his name was Kobin James, and I named him Jimmy. That's just what fit. And so when this movement all began, knowing that Kobin is a very private kid, and this was going to have to be a very public thing. It was something that I was nervous about pursuing or encouraging. So I thought using Jimmystrong versus Kobin, Kobin Strong or other, I thought that would be a wonderful way for him to put on the Batman cape, so to speak, mask, and kind of hide behind, suppress the limelight, so to speak.
Absolutely. It gave him that incognito feel, and he's really appreciated that.
That's great.
So another thing I want to touch on, a couple things. Sarcoma Awareness Month is this month. Sarcoma is a pretty rare cancer, really rare in adults, a little more common in kids. It accounts for about 6 to 10% of childhood cancers. Childhood cancer is grossly underfunded. They get 3.8% of all cancer funding in the United States. Obviously, we've got to do better for our kids. We've got to. 3.8% is absolutely ludicrous. It's ridiculous. There are 6 drugs that have ever been created for childhood cancer. 6 ever. Otherwise, we're using adult medications that were created in the 60s on these children whose bodies aren't cut out for that. They can't do it. They can't fight it that way. 70 or more % of childhood cancer survivors have to go back for treatment all throughout their lives for long-lasting effects of chemotherapy and treatment, and that is because we're using adult medications that their bodies can't use. They can't effectively break down and do what needs to be done with those medications. And so, oh, we've got some action.
Caution on the speedway. Blake Giglio, it looks like.
Number 16 does go around. We'll dial up a quick replay so everybody can see exactly what happened there. But go ahead and continue, Callie.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're looking for a place to donate some funds, somewhere that you can make a difference, childhood cancer research is a big deal. It's like I say, grossly underfunded. There are very few trials or research drugs even out there. Kobin was told at the very beginning that this was life-shortening for him, but to be told you have a 97% chance of not making it 6 months to a year is just unacceptable. It's not okay. There's got to be a better answer than 3.8%. So hashtag more than 4, help us, raise awareness for sarcomas, but all cancers, and especially childhood cancer, and definitely help us to let your representatives know, hey, this amount of funding isn't fair. This isn't right. 3.8% for our children because what? They can't vote? I mean, really, we've got to do better. We've just got to do better.
Absolutely, Callie. I must say, while I've got you in the booth and while we've got our audience listening, that throughout your segment with us, we focused on the hard. What can you share with us about the hope, about the influence, both from Kobin's strength, but also yours as a mother going through this? What outreach have you received in terms of inspiration that you have been for others?
I don't know about me being inspiration for others, but I can tell you that Kobin's been quite inspirational. I've heard from so many people how amazing his strength is and his will is and his insight, his instincts, just being aware of how others around him feel and how this affects everyone and not just him. He, as a 16-year-old boy, I mean, how many 16-year-old kids are not just in their own worlds and only caring about themselves? And Kobin's been so concerned that he continued treatment for a long time because he thought that's what I wanted. He's just he is so strong. He is so strong. And I'll tell you too, there's a quote out there that says something to the effect of, the people you'll meet in your cancer family are the most amazing, incredible support system that you never knew you needed. I never expected anything here in this community, but I'll tell you what, those other cancer moms and dads, these people are incredible. They're strong. They have so much will, so much strength, so much drive. And they're watching the hardest thing they've ever seen in their lives. You're watching the people who you love more than anything in the world struggle and hurt, and they just are there to support each other in every way possible. And it's been absolutely eye-opening and incredible to be inside of this. It's not all bad. I mean, it's rough. I'm not gonna lie, it's rough. But I have seen some of the most amazing people, some of the amazing things. I've seen kids fight stage 4 cancer and ring that bell, and it's been incredible to watch. I've seen parents bring gift bags to the hospital for those kids that are stuck sitting in there as their kid goes up for a chemo treatment of their own, and just brought gift bags to all of the kids who are stuck in the hospital overnight, whether that be for a 1-day stay of chemo treatment or for a 8-month stay because they're not getting back out of there. There's been donations to particularly primary children's, which is where we take Kobin, but of even just coloring books and crayons or nail polish or things that you don't think are a big deal. These are a huge deal to these kids that can't get out of their beds and cancer parents understand that and see that and know that because they've been through it. And so they're the ones doing these drives and these fundraisers and these things to help. And it's incredible to see. It really is.
Callie, that question was a little bit pointed. Wonderful the thought that you put into everything, and the way you advocate for those who are going through just some of the most horrific or horrifying times of their lives. But just to point out a small example of how you just sold yourself short. And I'm gonna use this race as somewhat of an example. Adam Benefiel had just pitted when that caution came out, right? He was trapped a lap down, had to take a wave around. He pitted from the lead, right? And instead of being worked up about that, he sent me a text under that caution as you were sharing what you were sharing. Simple 3 words: she's a legend. So again, Callie, don't sell yourself short. You are inspiring far more people than you know. I am so proud to call you my sister. And yeah, you can't sell yourself short like that. All right.
Don't make me cry.
Andre, take it over, buddy, because we're about to lose it.
Man, I don't know if I can, because I've kind of been losing it the last few minutes myself. Callie, just you really are, you and your whole family, just an inspiration and just the strongest people. I really hope this race is something that is, well, I don't know. Dustin,
appreciate you. No, you're fine, buddy. I appreciate you, Andre. Carlos in the production booth. I appreciate you guys for this race wasn't going to be broadcasted. Let me just go ahead and let that cat out of the bag. It wasn't going to be broadcasted. We didn't have a team for it. When I found out that it wasn't going to be broadcasted, I reached out to these guys. Damaris did what he does in support of this Jimmystrong cause. Reached out to Carlos and Andre, and without hesitation, Carlos in the production booth has COVID right now, and he's still,
oh my gosh,
willing to jump in the production booth for us, so that we could have a broadcast. Because come hell or high water, I was not letting it go without one. And these guys had the exact same mindset. There was no kickback. It was motivation to get it done for this cause, for Jimmy, for all those who are going through that fight, their own fights, for childhood cancer awareness, more than 4. Can't tell you how much I appreciate you joining us, Callie. You're so eloquent with your words. You like I said, you are going to be an advocate for this cause, I think, for your entire life, and it's going to make a difference. And I'm, again, grateful to have you in my life, blessed to have you as my sister, inspired by your strength every day.
Thank you.
All right, that was Callie in the booth with us, Kobin's mom, and true inspiration.
Absolutely. It's a situation that it puts people to the test, and some people rise to the challenge and they face it head on, like Kobin has faced it, like Callie has faced it, and it's one of those situations where you got to be strong, and they are strong. You and Kobin and Callie, and I just think it's awesome that this race got to be broadcasted, and that it gets to honor him and his entire family. And I'm really glad that Callie kind of mentioned that a lot of this stuff is underfunded, a lot of this stuff is under-researched, and there's so many things that we can do, even if our families aren't going through this, or if you don't know anybody who is. there's still things that you can do. There's still charities that you can donate to. You, like she mentioned, you can call your congressmen, your senators, whatever it may be, and say, hey, things need to change. Because at the end of the day, if you make your voice loud enough, things can change. And with people like Callie, I think eventually things will change because people like her are going to keep fighting for it no matter what.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and the opposite of awareness is not ignorance. Okay, it's unknowing. A lot of us, I mean, myself included, before this situation was brought upon myself and my family, I was indifferent to it. I was unknowingly ignorant to it because I just didn't know. And that's the whole point to these awareness causes. And, you know, again, it's not ignorance. It's just lack of knowledge.
Exactly. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I think that's why the Jimmystrong movement, especially in this league, has been so incredibly important and so effective. This is a group of people who get together every Saturday to race cars, but more than that, it's a community, and it's a community that has a very large outreach. When it started out, you know, it was just a few guys that wanted to get a more organized, full-length racing experience, and eventually this league got pretty big, and we got some pretty big names involved that have some pull, like Michael Conti and you know, Nick Ottinger and a few other big drivers, and with that, the league has gotten some notoriety, and by extension, so has Jimmystrong, and I think that is amazing.
Oh, the other day I was in a C Open race, so a truck official race, and I pull up behind this guy, and he's a guy that I've known for a long time, actually, and he's got a Jimmystrong #Jimmystrong banner across his deck lid, or across his rear bumper, and I was like, I sent him a message and said, hey man, that is just so awesome of you, like, really, man, that means a lot to me. And he's like, really, I had no idea what it was about. I just saw the logo and it looked really cool, and you know, I figured it had to have been a pretty solid cause, so I put it on my paint. And then I explained to him what it was, and he said, buddy, I won't race another car without this logo on it. And that's the same response that I get out of so many in this community. It has blown my mind. And I grew up racing cars all my life. I've known how tight-knit the racing community is. But for that to transcend into virtual racing blows my mind. People are so thoughtful. People are so selfless. Again, if they are aware, if they know. And that's the whole point.
Yeah, in sim racing, there's always been the saying, the cars are fake, but the racing is real. Well, so are the drivers. You know, there's a real person behind every wheel, and when these movements like Jimmystrong really get traction, and you know, they start to be more well known on the simulator, that's real people taking note, and those real people can make real change. So it's been incredibly inspiring and eye-opening, Dustin. And again, just incredibly important. I don't mean to change the topic too much.
Yeah.
I'm kind of losing it here. We do have a bit of a battle brewing for the
There is a race going on, right?
There's a race going on, and I hate to even kind of shift over to it, but it's a pretty good battle here. We got John Delaney, Michael Conti. We saw how evenly paced these guys were earlier in the night, in stage one in particular. I mean, the lap times were really just almost identical towards the end of that stage, and now we're seeing this battle start all over again here on lap 166. We've got Michael Conti running that high line, and we've got John Delaney kind of moving down to the bottom, but it's kind of fluctuating. John's kind of going where he thinks he needs to go. Sometimes he changes that line to try to put Conti in dirty air, but right here, he's going to allow the number one to take the high line, and this may be it as he slides up and throws a block. And it looks like the number one is going to have to regroup and try again, but I don't think it's going to be long, Dustin. I think that number one is on rails right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now he's learning. He's seeing what his car can do, and maybe just giving Delaney that opportunity to make that mistake to make it a little easier. So he doesn't have to necessarily throw throw a move out there that's maybe a little premature in this race.
Yeah, there's a lot of laps left in this event, and no need to get too aggressive, especially if you're confident in your car. And I think Michael Conti has all the reason in the world to be confident in that car. Very fast in stage 1, very fast in qualifying, so he knows that he can make the move on John if the cards fall in his favor. It's just a matter of waiting for the right opportunity where the risk is kind of minimized. You're not taking a huge chance or putting your entire race on the line. So, but again, you got to think for John, this is pretty cool for him too. I mean, racing right alongside somebody who he's probably been watching on the service and on the broadcast for the Pro Series for years now, and he gets to race side by side for him. And that's one of the cool things about this league. Sometimes it opens doors for people. It opened a door for John.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't doubt that John will get there. I know he's moved on to round 2 in the Road to Pro Series. He advances beyond that. He'll be in the Pro Series where, they take the top 20 from the Road to Pro and match them up against the bottom 20 from the previous Coke season, and top 20 go qualify for Coke, and we'll race with the current top 20 in Coke. So that's kind of how it all breaks down. John's got a great shot at getting there. So again, like you said, this is an opportunity to kind of see what this is going to be like. He's racing against one of the best. He's a past champion in the Coke series, and he's out there just racing with them, and it's both impressive and I hope he sees it as the opportunity it is.
Absolutely. And the battle kind of fading a little bit. Looks like John pulling away a little bit through 3 and 4. He's got a little bit of lap traffic up ahead of him now. Stage 2 does end on lap 190, I believe. We're on lap 173. So we're under 20 to go in the stage, and I believe everybody should be good on fuel just with the way the cautions fell. So you're not really going to be worried too much about strategy. It's about tire conservation and pace and pretty much flat out racing the way that it should be. Michael Conti's still using that high line, still very confident in it. And again, he closes so much on the straightaways. But to John's credit, he's holding Michael at bay. He is using that low line. And yeah, he doesn't quite have the exit speed, but John's really driving it in there deep. And that seems to be the LDR forte, Dustin. Just driving in it. Your teammate a couple weeks ago had a quote on the broadcast that I don't think I've stopped laughing at it since. It's those LDR boys are driving it in so deep they're giving Jesus a high five. And it seems to be what John's doing here. He's really good on corner entry, which makes it interesting when you got a guy behind him that's better on corner exit. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. When you drive it in that hard, you've got to back it up a little more to rotate it. You're also putting a lot more strain on those tires. John Delaney's logic in a post-race discussion on why he drives it in so hard is to keep it from getting so loose. But I don't see anybody slide off the exit more than John Delaney, so I don't think it's working for you, bud. So, definitely backing it up a little bit is going to save the tires. You keep a little wheel out of it so that when the front does grip, you don't have, too much steering angle in it. That'll cause a snap loose type of situation. I don't know. I've always gone by the mantra slow down to speed up, and this car really seems to feed to that.
It really does, and this lap traffic is picking up ahead of him as Michael has gotten back to the bumper of John. These guys are still duking it out for the lead, and they're going to have another element to worry about within the next few laps because they are closing in on Preston McRae, Jeff Hooper, and Cody Bird. Also, our producer just said, check out who's P10. That's Adam Benefiel, Jimmystrong, number 83. He's back on the lead lap, back inside the top 10. Dustin, he's a man on a mission. He's driving back up front.
He took that wave around and has just been watching his lap times. They've been steady faster than the leaders as he's come through traffic. He's not done yet.
No, sir. He's never been a driver to be denied. And again, I've always said about Adam, wherever he's running in the first oh, I don't know, 90% of the race is generally pretty irrelevant, because it seems like towards the end he just turns on the afterburners, and he is always a contender. You can't ever count him out. So he's continuing his charge, and now this battle for the lead also continuing as they just get closer and closer to this lap traffic. Big wiggle out of John. Michael not taking advantage of it. He let off the throttle. There's a lot of patience being shown out of this number one, as when we come to the stripe, it's going to be 10 to go in the stage. Now again, there are going to be stage points on the line, but for Michael, it's about more than stage points. It's
got to the inside.
It's about getting this stage win for Jimmy and for his family and for you. And man, getting stage one was incredible. Stage two, trying to make it happen again, as he once again gets to the bottom of number 6, but has to concede. Now he's going to sling it back around the top. I got to give credit to these lap cars ahead. I thought they were going to catch them a lot quicker than they did, but they're holding their own up there. They got a lot of good pace, which could really make things even more interesting. It's one thing to pass a lapper, Dustin, but passing a lapper who's almost as quick as you, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, absolutely. While battling for that lead position with somebody who is the same speed as you.
Absolutely. Here we go. Got the number one right behind John, and John's going to pass Preston McRae here. Preston doing a good job there, holding the high line, staying out of these guys' way. Now they got 2 more cars ahead of them, at least within view. Conti to the top, Jonathan Delaney down to the bottom. The story we've seen pretty much the entire stage. John, big loose on the back straightaway. That's going to allow the number one to close back up, going into 3 and 4. Watch number one take this high entry. Can he get the momentum here? This is going to be a good run, Dustin.
It is. It is. He's going to go ahead and arc it off of that wall, get the big run down the straightaway. He does elect to stay in line with John. Doesn't make the move down the front straightaway, again to the top in 1 and 2. We do have a lap car that they are going to have to deal with here on the back straightaway. Holds it high, gets out of the way so these leaders can battle this thing out to the end of the stage. 6 to go when they get back to the line.
Cody Bird next on the chopping block should the leaders catch up to him in that number 13 Natty Light Camaro. And he's, again, another driver doing a good job keeping his pace. He's not too far off these leaders' lap time, so going to be a bit of a challenge. Oh, John Wiggles again. He's scaring me, Dustin. I'm going to need blood pressure medication watching him, because he is just about giving me a heart attack every time he gets sideways like that. And leave it to John to somehow save it. Not once, not twice, but about 20 times in the last 20 laps.
Yeah, he still keeps charging that corner. That's what baffles me about what he does. He relies so heavily on his abilities, which are abundant. I mean, to save a car on exit like he has, lap after lap, he just puts himself in a position where he has to be that good, and that's a head scratcher for me, Andre.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there, but I gotta wonder if Michael's not just maybe toying with John a little bit here. It really seems like he's got the faster car. Every time he comes out of the corner, he gets such a big run, and I keep thinking maybe he's going to dive down low and just take it at the bottom, but he keeps staying in line, like you said, just kind of giving John a little shots here and there to the bumper, and when it comes down to the end of the stage, things will change. But back to the high line, Conti gets a little bit sideways for a change, but so does John, so I suppose that evens out as they cross the stripe for lap 188. It's going to be 3 to go in the stage. Now, this is the last lap. The pits are open. If anybody were to elect to pit under green, which I doubt anybody will, this would be the final call for that. But again, this is a track that's too short, really, to pull that strategy off. You'd have to have a huge lead if you were to pit before the end of the stage. So, pit road will close this time. Lap 189 out of 190 for the stage. Conti's still right behind Jonathan Delaney. Third place. Where's third place? Well, they're way back there. Cameron Stone's in third place, 3.7 seconds. So not a factor in this battle up front.
And we may see a battle for third as Bryson Hicksonbaugh has run Cameron down. I've been watching lap times and as they take the white flag on the stage, Bryson Hicksonbaugh and Adam Benefield have been mirroring their lap times, swapping fastest laps of the lap of the field, about 2/10 faster than our leaders. So back to saving, who's saving too much, who's not saving enough. I think we're seeing a mixed bag, and those who did not save actually benefited in this stage. Delaney and Conti, positions first and second to wrap up the stage.
And Jonathan Delaney will take the stage win, and as they took the stage green and white record, we had an issue with Sean O'Brien. I saw a plume of smoke, and then I seen him coming down pit road. I'm not sure if the smoke was just him trying to slow down or if there was an incident with him, but I reckon we'll find out. After these guys come down pit road, as per usual, we will have a word with our stage winner, Jonathan Delaney, this time, and I think he'll be pretty excited after that really successful stage there. But one thing these guys got to think about, regardless of how excited they may be now, is that we're just about to the halfway point of this thing, Dustin, and we don't have any more scheduled cautions for these guys to rely on. We may be seeing some green flag stops here in the final stage, and that's going to be a whole new challenge for these guys.
Yeah, how do you break up this 200 lap stint or 205 lap stint? Do you break it up into 50 lap runs? Do you go 70, 75, 50, or how do you break this up? You can go 90 laps on fuel, but do you want to go 90 laps on tires? And is the speed going to be there for those who do pit, short pit, or break it up into smaller segments to compensate for just on pure speed? This long stage opens the door to just a plethora of strategy.
That it does. Jonathan Delaney, right sides go up. Adam Benefield coming into his pit stall right behind John. A whole sea of cars getting some fresh Goodyears and fuel. And again, just a lot of possibility for strategy as John pulls out of his stall. I'm going to go ahead and real quick see if I can't find his chat and dial him up. John Delaney, you got a copy?
Hello?
Well, John, you got a stage 2 win. You got a very fast number 6 machine underneath you. I got to ask, when you joined the 100% Cup Series, did you ever think you'd be racing side by side with Michael Conti? Not only that, but getting a stage win over him.
Definitely not, no. Man, I'm drenched. I can tell you that. I pushed the car to its limit there, for sure. Michael Conti definitely put the pressure on me, for sure. But I think he was a little bit better. He just wasn't able to find a good run to get around me. But I think it'll be pretty interesting. Saving tire here is pretty big in your long run, so it's going to be interesting to the end here.
Now, this final stage is going to be kind of different from the first two. It's a very long final stage, and as Dustin was mentioning earlier in the broadcast, it really opens the doors to some strategy, and that may be a cause of stress for some guys. But you got a battle plan going forward?
No, I'm just I don't know what I'm doing for the end of the race here. I guess we'll just kind of play it out by ear. So yeah.
All right, just gonna wing it. Well, it's worked out so far for you, John. So we wish you good luck in the rest of the race, and hopefully we're talking to you again.
I hope so. See you guys.
Hey, see ya.
John out of the booth, and you heard him, Dustin. He's just kind of winging it out there.
Well, might work out. Heck, wing it might be the best strategy, actually. I don't know. I mean, you can make plans for what you're gonna do, but you can't plan on cautions. You can't plan on other variables in racing, and you can just plan and hope. But usually, when it all comes down to it, you take John's strategy there and you wing it.
It's kind of like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan when they step into the ring until they get punched in the face. Well, everybody's got a plan on the track until that first caution comes out and their strategy is completely thrown out of whack. So, yeah, sometimes you got to be able to be flexible and be dynamic and just kind of gauge it as you go. It helps to have a bit of a rough plan as to what you're going to do, but it's never a certain thing. I mean, in racing, anything can happen at any moment. So, hard to plan, and maybe that flexibility is what helps John so much and some of these other drivers as well. The pace car making that hard left turn momentarily. It's going to be Jonathan Delaney leading the field, and he's gotten some pretty good restarts tonight. Let's see if he can replicate that success as Michael Conti pulls up bumper to bumper, and it is a good start for John as Conti is going to cycle into second place in a battle for third. We got Bryson Ixenbach, Cameron Stone side by side. Cameron's had some quiet pace tonight. That 57's been pretty good. I don't think he's quite on par with Delaney or Conti. But definitely a podium contender. And if he gets a little bit of a setup figured out, maybe a tire pressure adjustment here and there, maybe he can find something in that car to get up there and battle with these leaders.
Well, the first stage we saw him attack. Second stage we saw him take it a little easier, and have a little something there at the end to hold off, those who did save real hard. Might see him an average of those two approaches here, as we do see him gapping Bryson here, running third place. Beat him around the outside, which we know is a little more trying on the rubber, as Conti had pointed out after stage one. You kind of see him taking more of a stage one approach.
Yeah, maybe turning up the aggression, knowing that this longer stage is going to kind of play out a little bit differently than these other stages we've had, and thus he can kind of change his strategy accordingly. We had a viewer in chat ask, how is Rob Tracy doing? Tracy is currently just inside the top 20 in that 33 machine. He's running pretty well. He's got a clean car, and so far it's been a pretty good night for him. Really nothing too eventful, and sometimes, Dustin, having an uneventful race is kind of the best thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. If your name's not mentioned on the broadcast, sometimes that's just fine.
Yeah, a lot of people, they wish they got more camera time, but I've always said, not all camera time is for the right reason. So you can have a quiet night and grab some points. That's a good thing. And again, that car is clean. There's some cars in this field that, they're kind of bent up, little few dings here and there, but he's kept that car clean. So just kind of
clean car, one lap down, riding in 20th, having a pretty good night.
Absolutely. Cameron Stone just off of our leaders. And speaking of our leaders, that battle that we saw at the end of stage 2, well, it is continuing again as Michael Conti is back to the bumper, the number 6. Look at this. John sliding a little high on corner exit. For a moment, I thought he was going to slide up into the wall. That was a pretty abrupt movement. He kept it under control. It's hard to judge what John's doing just by watching that car, because it looks so out of control at every single turn. But obviously it's in control. It's just hard to tell.
Yeah, nobody knows what John's doing.
Not even him.
Not even him. He's winging it, remember?
Yeah. Cameron Stone under fire from Bryce Nixon Bob. Look at this. Top 5, Jason S. Taylor. That's the name we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast. That we're going to keep an eye on him. And, well, he's still got some pace here tonight in that number 12. We're seeing the field really stay pretty collected, Dustin. And I didn't really expect that. Coming to Rockingham, this is a driver's track. It's one of the most difficult circuits, I think, that we're going to come to in terms of oval racing, just because it is so unfamiliar. It's such a rough surface. I expected there to be a few outliers, a few drivers who were just far and away going to pull away, and there's going to be a lot of separation. But no, these guys have been bumper to bumper, so close in talent, so close in ability. And I got to mention, as we were talking about Jason S. Taylor, somebody passed him like he was standing still, and that somebody was Adam Benefield. He is not only back on the lead lap, not just inside the top 10, but now challenging for 5th in what is definitely one of the fastest cars on the track at the moment. He's currently clicking off 24.6s like nobody's business. The cars in front of him are all clicking off 24.7s and 8s. So a tenth faster than the leaders. He is flying.
Yeah, Adam's got one thing in mind, and that's another victory. I talked to Adam a little bit pre-race, and for those who do not know, Adam Benefield is Michael Conti's crew chief for the Coke Series, and he told myself, he told Conti that he would absolutely wreck the boss to win this race. So Conti's reply was, I might have a different crew chief on Tuesday, but a lot of fun pre-race between those guys, but anytime Adam cracks a joke like that, you kind of always wonder, did he mean that? How much of that are we like 60-40 serious? Because you never know with Adam. He's a racer and a competitor, and he's got a piece tonight. He's moving.
Moving indeed. Now inside the top 5. He made a move on Bryson for 4th place. Now his next target's going to be Cameron Stone, who himself is right on the bumper of Conti, who then is right behind Jonathan Delaney. We've got the top 5 top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The top 10 cars are in a gaggle here. And they are, I mean, they couldn't get any closer. This racing has been absolutely phenomenal. And let me tell you, there couldn't have been a better race to put on such a great show. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. The parody, like you mentioned, it's not at all what I expected for Rockingham with this car, open setups. I expected there to be, cars going a lap down. The track's only 0.97 miles, less than a mile. I expected cars to get lapped maybe 10, 15 laps into a run and maybe have 8, 9 cars on the lead lap at the end of the show. But this has really been an incredible race.
That it has. Michael Conti moving back to the top of the track now. I find that really interesting because when he's battling with John and there's nobody behind him, like at the end of stage 2, you can move to the top and you're not really taking a whole lot of a risk because nobody's going to try to lunge in underneath you. There's nobody there to do that. But right now, there is a whole pack of cars behind these leaders that want to try to capitalize, want to try to gain some positions. And so when Michael slides up at the top, he is taking a risk of somebody sending in a dive bomb there, one of which happens to be Adam Benefield, who, as you mentioned, Dustin, he already said he would spin the boss man for a win here. So he's taking a bit of a risk, but it's a risk that's working out because he's maintaining his pace, and it just shows how confident he is that he can use that high line and that even if somebody does sneak in underneath from there, he's still going to be able to rocket out of that corner and stay right with John.
Well, yeah, you saw Adam, as good as he is, he had to ride side by side with Cam Stone there for 3 or 4 laps before it looked like Stone finally said, you know what, we're both killing our stuff, go ahead. It's just very hard to clear a pass here, as you see Conti really send it on the top there in 3 and 4, gets the outside of John Delaney, takes the lead. New leader, 1 car.
New leader, Michael Conti, and we have another Jimmystrong car taking P2 from Jonathan Delaney. Adam Benefield makes the move on the bottom, and now we have 2 Jimmystrong Camaros leading the field. Amazing sight as John is going to fall back to 3rd. 57 trying to maybe capitalize here as well. Got to think John's going to be pretty aggressive here with the defense. You don't want to fall too far back early on. Obviously, the further back you fall now, the more work you're going to have to put in later.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing he makes that you wonder, did Michael Conti and Adam Benefield just decide to turn it up and go? Now is there some strategy that they're considering? Maybe they don't need to plan on saving their tires for 90 laps for the fuel run. Maybe they're thinking splitting this into 50s and so since they don't have to go as far, they can afford to run it a little bit harder than they have previously in the race. But they have opened up a gap of about a second between Adam and John Delaney.
So they are starting to pull away a little bit. And one thing I'm noticing, Dustin, is that cautions have become a little bit more infrequent. We've still got a lot of cars in this race. There has not been a whole lot of attrition. The cautions are becoming less frequent as these guys get the track figured out a little bit more and maybe start showing a little bit more patience here and there. So it's kind of interesting because these drivers, as far as trying to plan what's going on, they've kind of been pulled in every which way direction. When the race started, they didn't really know how it was going to go, and then we got kind of a rash of cautions at the very beginning. So now they're thinking, okay, this race is going to be pretty caution-filled. We can kind of expect some short runs. And just when they start getting settled into the strategies that would accommodate these short runs, now we're seeing long green flag runs. So got to be difficult as a driver or crew chief to try to adapt to this race that's been a little unpredictable.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm sitting here. I'll be honest with you, Andre. My head would be smoking with trying to figure out the different strategies and different approaches to take this long 3rd stage to the finish of this race.
Absolutely. Just a shout out to Human Thing to Do in chat. Said, go get them, Rob. Awesome race, great commentators. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Human Thing to Do, for tuning in and being active in the chat. It does help Carlos and 3 TV quite a bit. And we hope that you are enjoying the show and enjoying following along with Rob Tracy and the other drivers here putting on the show for us tonight here at Rockingham. It's been a great broadcast, and it's great to see some interaction in the chat. But starting to see a little separation now as Cam Stone starts to fall from the back bumper of John, who in turn has been falling back from our 2 leaders. He pointed out that Benefield and Conti have kind of been gapping the field here for a little while, and we do have a bit of a battle now got the 63 before it breaks car parts. Bryce Nixonbaugh trying to get around Cameron Stone. I don't think these two are any strangers to each other on track. A lot of battles and a lot of instances where these guys have kind of been at it for position.
Yeah, yep. They definitely always make it entertaining for us. Two fierce competitors, two excellent race car drivers, and you know, they bring it. I enjoy watching these guys. They're fun.
Absolutely, and actually, as Bryson has slowly caught up to Cameron Stone, Cameron has caught up to John. So now we've got a battle for a podium position, a three-way battle. RJ Root is sitting there, I believe. Is he? Yeah, he's on the lead lap in sixth. This is a driver who, at the beginning of the race, we saw get involved in an incident, backed it into that inside wall, and he got that damage fixed, and he's now back inside the top 5. Just one of a few really impressive recoveries that we've seen tonight, Dustin.
You know, RJ just seems to always be there. You know, we saw it at Bristol on the dirt. Seen it several times throughout the year. That you'll be going along thinking that you know, okay, you've got your okay, these are the guys I need to worry about today. You know, we're halfway through this race. These are the guys that are constantly up front throughout this race. RJ will always go mix that up. He'll always show up there at the end of the race and make you consider him. And he does a great job of that.
Absolutely. Obviously, RJ, I do not believe, has renewed his contract with SBR for next season. But when Cam scouted him out for this season, I think there was a reason for that. He saw the potential behind the wheel, and RJ has definitely lived up to that potential. And if he does become a free agent next season and he returns to the league, I think it'd be a pretty good grab for anybody looking for a driver. But looking out front, look at this, Dustin. We've got Michael Conti setting sail. First time he's had clean track for a long time, pretty much since stage 1. He's using that clean track very well. 1.1 seconds back to Adam Benefield, who himself has about a second back to Jonathan Delaney. But Michael is, I mean, he's driving away. And actually, now that he's got clean track, I've noticed he's migrated back to the bottom. He's not using the top because he doesn't feel like he has to. And how difficult is it, Dustin, as a driver, to kind of change up what lane you're running throughout a race? I mean, you get used to one line, and you get used to how the car handles, and then you're in a different position on track, circumstances change, you got to run a different line. How difficult is that change up?
You know, it depends on the track, but I would say for the most part, it's not as difficult as you may think. It's like the difference between a sweet pickle and a dill pickle. Like, if you know what you're grabbing a hold of, you know what taste you're gonna get. So if I know I'm committing to the bottom, I know what I'm getting down there. If I know I'm committing to the top, I know ahead of time what I'm going to be feeling there. And they're just very different approaches, very different things. So really, it's not that tough. I would say it gets tough when you have other cars around you and you don't know how much room they're going to give you, how much room you can take. Because those are the things that are going to affect how you approach the corner differently from what you have already practiced. Those are those variables that you cannot plan for. But just running laps, you know, like Michael Conti is now with a 1.7 second lead, you've practiced this. You know what it's going to do on the bottom when you attack the bottom. You know what it's going to do on the top when you attack that top. Basically, you're looking for lap times now, you know, and your tire conservation.
Very well said. A great explanation. Sometimes viewers at home, it's hard to appreciate, I think, the ins and outs, the technicalities, the subtleties of oval racing. I mean, you watch it on a broadcast, and sometimes it looks a lot more simple than it really is. But something as simple as changing a line can definitely be a pretty big endeavor. And you got to be well prepared. Like you said, if you know what you're getting, yeah, you can change lanes back and forth. It's just a matter of being prepared and having that knowledge. So, kind of a fun kind of little topic there. But I'm watching a little bit.
I don't know how it got the pickles, but I mean, it worked.
I mean that you took it there, and I wasn't going to question it. So.
Yeah, I think the production booth had something to say. I think.
Carlos always has something to say. I'm following along with the number 28, Alex Murray. He's in 6th place right now, and the reason I've been watching him is because he's kind of been out of control these last couple laps. I've seen him give the wall a love tap a couple times and get a little sideways. Gotta wonder if he's really pushing that car, trying to catch up to these guys in front of him, and maybe that's kind of working against him. Sometimes you push the car too hard, you heat those tires up, and then the car starts fighting against you. I'm not sure, but he's really rocking that high line right now, and when he nails it, he nails it. He's getting a lot of momentum, but man, that high line can be high risk, high reward, and there it is again, 28 into the wall for the third time that I've seen, and it's difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this track, it baits you. The high banking, you think you can just send it off into these turns. Whereas, you know, really to be fast here, you need to start backing that thing off maybe 3 or 4 car lengths after you cross the start-finish line and into turn 1. You know, start feathering out of it, start getting that nose set. But again, the high banking, it's so inviting. It's saying, hey, yeah, rush me. And so if you're running the top where you don't have a lot of room to for error, you know, you're walking a tightrope, and I see Alex Murray doing that. The thing I've noticed with Alex Murray is he's been very strong for 30 to 35 laps, and then it just seems like his car becomes a little bit of a handful, as you pointed out. He backed up his entry to 1 right there. Since I see we're riding with him on the broadcast, he backed that entry up, and it seems to have more stability down low over the bumps. I say that and he about bends it out of 4, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But backing up those corners, I see a lot more stability through 1 and 2 for him. Yeah.
Like you said, though, you know, we were talking in stage 1 about, you know, sometimes taking it easy and conserving is difficult as a driver because you want to be going fast. You want to be pushing that car to its absolute limit. Well, the same thing applies right here. I mean, Alex obviously sees the leaders up ahead of him. He knows that he's got a pretty good car when it hooks the track. It's just an unstable car, and he's pushing it to the limit. And yeah, maybe backing up those corner entries would help him, as it has the few times that he's done it, like you said. But it's so hard to convince yourself to back those corners up. If you think you can get 10 feet deeper into the corner, you're going to try to get 10 feet deeper into the corner.
Yeah, again, especially with the banking that they have, you go off down this straightaway at Rockingham, and it just looks like you've got this big wall of support out there at the end, just ready to catch you, and you send it off in there, and it doesn't. I mean, you think you're backing it up 10 feet before, or, you know, sooner than you did the previous lap, but then you find it feels the exact same, and you didn't actually back it up. You just did the same thing. It's a very tricky track and a very tricky approach to both. Both 1 and turn 3.
And you know, the thing that always got me about Rockingham, and the thing that tripped me up the most whenever I race here, either in a true simulator, sort of like iRacing or NR 2003, or even an arcade game like the old EA NASCAR games. The thing about Rockingham is, you're right, it's got that steep banking that invites you to send it in deep, but the corners are so sharp that if you do overdrive, there is absolutely no time to get that car wound up and to correct your course. The corner is so sharp that if you overdrive, you're in that outside wall. There's nothing you can do about it. You know, tracks like Atlanta, Chicagoland, plenty of sweeping turns and a lot of time to react and maybe get that car slowed down. Sure, you're not going to have the best corner if you overdrive, but you can avoid hitting the wall. Here, very little room for error.
Yeah, that's a perfect example right there. They're just very tight corners and small margin for error. We did have a change of position for second place. Jonathan Delaney has gotten around Adam Benefiel, so we are back to the 2 usual suspects in the top 2 positions on the racetrack.
The battle that Benefiel put up with Delaney seems to have cost them both a little bit of time to the leader, who's just continued to pull away lap after lap. It is now 2.8 seconds from Delaney up to the leader, Michael Conti, and they've got a few lap cars separating them as well, so that'll be something for John to try to navigate here. And I gotta wonder, when are we going to start seeing our first green flag stops? Obviously not yet. We're only about 50 laps into this run, and as we've seen, you can go a little beyond 90 laps here. So it's going to be a while, but what would your estimate be, Dustin, for maybe the earliest takers?
I think we'll see takers between now and 250. That's my guess, lap 250. So between now and the next 7 laps, I think we'll start to see some people roll the dice on a 3-stop third stage. Run 50 lap stints, so get to 250, pit again at 300, and again at 350. Simply because the fall off here is so great. I mean, to start off, fastest lap of the race is a 24:13. The leader last time by ran a 26 flat. So we're talking 2 seconds a lap of fall off 50 laps into this run. So if you short pit it here, you're going to go ahead and run your 2 seconds a lap faster than that. And we're talking the leader here. We're not talking about one of the mid-pack guys. Are you going to overcome the time lost coming down pit road?
I would say the way this race is going, it almost feels like it would be conducive to a 3-stop strategy. Obviously, the biggest risk of stopping more than anybody else is that if a caution comes out, you're going to be trapped a lap down. Whereas those guys who stayed out and they were taking a fewer stop strategy, maybe 2 stops, they're going to be on the lead lap and they're going to have much better opportunity to get up front and lead this thing. But the way this race has gone, I mean, we've not had and I'm going to knock on wood here, but we've not had a caution for cause in the entirety of stage 3. So we've been going for almost 60 laps now under green. Things have been pretty kosher. A few scary moments. John's gotten loose a couple times. We saw the 28 get into the wall a couple times, but nothing major. So if I was a driver, I would feel pretty comfortable taking a 3-stop. I would not think right now that I'm at risk of getting trapped a lap down. But as we've said, we can sit here and we can predict and we can make plans all we want, but racing can be unpredictable. So even when things look one way, it's still a risk.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And what I've noticed in my testing here, you don't fall off a whole lot to lap 20, but after lap 20, that's where you really start to fall, where lap times start to fall off. So if you can get more of those 1 to 20s, if the cost of coming down pit road and your time on pit road with the pit stop doesn't balance it too far the other way or tip the scale too far the other way, getting those 20 lap runs in, at what point is that a good? Does that tip the scale into your favor? And looks like I've been proven wrong. As we're lap 250 now, and I haven't seen anybody come down pit road, so I may have been the only one at this point.
So there's something we haven't really talked about this race. We do tend to talk about it, or at least we've talked about it a lot this season, just because it is something new, and it's kind of interesting to follow along because it's kind of uncharted territory. But these next-gen cars are 5-speed sequentials. So we have one extra gear to work with than we've ever had historically, and that kind of opens the door to shifting tactics. Some drivers may prefer to build a setup that's going to be in a lower gear. Some drivers may build a setup that allows them to run the highest gear possible and just leave it in 5th. I've been riding on board from the cockpit view of Jonathan Delaney, and obviously the view and the feed that we get as spectators is not all 100% accurate, as we do have drivers down pit road, Bryce and Nixonbach. But I'm noticing, Dustin, that John Delaney is running 4th gear for most of the lap. The only time he's shifting into 5th is just before the end of the back straightaway, and he's immediately going back down to 4th. That's pretty interesting.
Huh. Yeah, that one sounds like a feed, like you mentioned, not being completely accurate in the sim as a spectator. But I do know that some people were shifting, some people planned on shifting here, and some people just planned on running a 4th gear setup where you never touched 5th gear. Maybe that's what Delaney decided to do, or did, so that maybe late in the run he would be 4th gear exclusively as the speeds dropped. It's all guessing, but that's what I would guess. I would guess that if that's the case, if that's what he is doing, he planned on just being a 4th gear setup late in the run. Early in the run, knowing he would have to shift to 5th to keep it off the chip.
Absolutely, and I know that Bryson Hicksenbach in that 63, who is currently on fresh tires and trying to unlap himself the old-fashioned way, uh, he was kind of in talks of using a fourth gear setup, from what I understand. I'm not sure if he ultimately decided to go with it, but it was definitely in the conversation as a huge plume of smoke out of the 65. And again, I'm not sure if that's a spectator thing, but Sean O'Brien Jr. had a bit of smoke coming out of that car, lost a lot of pace, and then Bryson just rocketed around both these guys like they're standing still. And that is the fresh tires as we have the 83 down pit road.
Yeah, Adam is on pit road as well.
Putting himself on pace for a 3-stop maybe. Just a quick update on Michael Christopher. He is officially taking it behind the wall. So one more driver out of the race officially, but still a lot of drivers still in this thing. We only have 6 drivers that have taken it behind the wall, and we started 32. So this has been one of the cleanest Rockingham races I think I can remember.
Yeah, it's incredible. Michael Conti is setting a different pace or has set a different pace this stage. But John Delaney, with his patient approach this time, with his tire saving, I saw laps where he was 3 or 4 tenths slower than Michael Conti, and that has now flipped to the point where Delaney is now closed within 4 tenths of the leader. So again, different strategies. Here we are 67 laps into the run. They are back together again.
And it has been a story we've been following along with all night long between these two. And you're right, John is closing the gap, but getting to somebody, that's one thing. Passing them's another. We saw that at the end of stage 2 when the roles were reversed. It was John up front and Michael Conti on the chase. And Conti, I believe at that time, at the moment, had the faster car. He couldn't quite make that pass because it was just different enough between John and him where he didn't have the momentum to make that move and make it stick. Now John's in that position where he's got to try to figure out, well, what am I going to do? Do I go up top? Do I go to the bottom? Do I just wait for a mistake that may or may not ever come? What is he going to do to try to make this overtake? He's got the faster car right now, and he is going to dive down to the bottom as they both got a little squirrely. The difference was the number 6 was quicker to the throttle after they got squirrely, and we have a new leader, Jonathan Delaney, in the number 6, taking the point out of turn 2.
Yeah, he did a great job. He did a great job in this stint of tire saving, of letting Adam go when Adam got to him. He didn't necessarily hold Cameron Stone up, but didn't let him go either. But definitely backed it up, like I said, by 4 tenths a lap off of Michael Conti for the majority of, or a good portion of the beginning of that run. At one point we were commenting Michael Conti had a close to a 3-second lead over second place. As you see Conti coming to pit road now, what an entry.
Yeah,
almost worth the replay as he dirt tracked it down to pit entry.
That was a bold entry. Yeah? That was pretty fast. And that's going to hand the second position to Hoytsma if he does not come down pit road. Pit road getting really busy now. You can see this running order has been completely jumbled. Bryson, who pitted a number of laps ago already, one of the first ones down pit road, he's up to 7th now, as a few other drivers have kind of inherited decent track position via these stops. We've got Root in 2nd, Tanner Marty in P3, Owen Hodgson 4th. Bryson finally cracks the top 5 again. And it looks like Delaney is staying out on the track even still. He goes by pit road one more time. I think John might be pretty dedicated to just a 2-stop strategy here.
So here's the difference. The 3-stop strategy, I just busted out my Larry Matt calculator. This 3-stop strategy was going to be about a 52, 53 lap stint. The 2-stop strategy is only a 70 lap stint. It's only 17 more laps per stint. In those 17 laps, how much time are you making up? New tires versus old tires. Does it balance out for that extra pit stop? I don't think it. I hope Adam wasn't listening to me when he made his pit call. But I don't think that was the answer. I think Conti's on the right strategy here, splitting that up into 370 lap runs, and going at it that way.
So I broke out my calculator, and for the amount of time that you would gain as Jonathan Delaney is down pit road, so 17 laps extra for the two-stop strategy in each stint, like you said. If we're assuming the fall off is roughly 2 seconds, we'll just round it up to 2 seconds. Well, 2 times 17 is 34. So that's 34 seconds that you would be able to possibly make up on those fresher tires, which is more than a lap. Problem is you're going more than a lap down. I think you're losing more than 34 seconds with that extra stop. So I think you're right, Dustin. I think maybe that 2-stop was the play.
Yeah, you see Conti is already back to Adam. Adam pitted those few laps before him, and granted, Conti had a much, he had a big lead over Adam at this point, but now they are together on the racetrack. Conti with 8-lap fresher tires, and a different strategy. He's only going to have to, and granted, these guys who pitted on lap 250, 251 are not going to have to stick to that 50 lap stint. They can take that 150 lap, those 150 laps, and break that into 275 lap runs now from here. So they don't have to stick to their guns on that one. But at the same time, not much was gained by pitting those 8 laps sooner.
But for some of those guys, they might have known that, yeah, this might not work, but it's just worth trying. In the case of Bryson Hixenbaugh, he knew he had a good car, but he didn't have a car with the pace of Delaney or Conti. So if he was going to get these guys, he had to do it on strategy. I don't think he was going to do it under green on the track. So why not try something? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, nothing gained, nothing lost. So maybe just kind of a casual approach.
Yeah, I just got a text from my my dad, and Adam will probably get a kick out of this if he is paying attention to the stream. But we call him Papa John. Big supporter of the league, of you guys, of my sim racing. He's always been my biggest supporter in all my racing. And he tells me that my analogy of a pickle, I clearly need a girlfriend, is what he said. So I figured I'd share that with the populace here, those tuning in. One of the old Papa John's quippy quirks, and or quirky quips. Say what you will. So John did pit there. He stayed out 3 laps longer than Conti. So he'll be on 3 lap fresher tires than Michael Conti.
Now, in the short term, this has worked out for Bryson. Bryson Hixenbaugh did inherit the lead. Last time at the line, it was 3.5 seconds. Now, of course, Bryson is on the oldest tires among the leaders, at least. So when they cross the line this time, we'll see exactly how much Benefield was able to close in on the slightly fresher tires from 3.5 down to, drum roll please, as the time and scoring updates, 3.3. So Adam Benefield was 0.2 faster, and he's kind of battling right now with Michael Conti. So he gained 0.2 while having his hands full. That's a pretty fast number 83 machine, and I think they're definitely going to get to Bryson. It's just going to be a matter of when.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my telemetry's acting up. Delaney, I don't know if it was Michael Conti's pit entry or those 3 laps on fresher tires, but there was quite a gap between 4 seconds between Conti and Delaney after the pit cycle. Definitely could have been the 3 laps, could have been that pit entry. I can take a look at that, and yeah, we'll do some research.
Yeah, the gap definitely exists. It actually still does. Michael Conti is currently 3 seconds ahead of John Delaney, so I'm not sure if it was the entry, like you said, or maybe just the difference in tires for those few laps. But I'll tell you what, Conti's pit entry was something. He absolutely gained some time, for sure.
Okay, here's the breakdown. Michael Conti's pit in lap and pit out lap totaled 89 seconds. Jonathan Delaney's totaled 91 seconds. So Conti on his pit entry and pit exit gained him 2 seconds faster than Delaney, who is one of the fastest in the league at getting down on pit road and getting off of pit road for his service.
I gotta wonder how much of that was entry and how much of that was also just Michael being a little bit more bold on those cold tires. That's the thing. You come out of the pits and you got those fresh tires, and that car is on ice. Those cold tires, there's a saying in the league, cold tires are cold. Yeah, the car's not handling too well. But if you're brave and you drive that thing deep into the corner and you manage to keep it under control, you can have one heck of an outlap, and you can gain time over those guys who may be taking a little bit more cautious because they don't want to go out there on fresh tires and immediately loop it out.
You're exactly right. And it's interesting. Different tracks have different traits, cold tire traits. Most of the mile and a halves we go to, the car's really tight on cold tires. That right front has zero grip. Other tracks, you feel it more in the rear. Rockingham, Darlington, those are a couple places where pit exit, I felt it more in the rear. But once up on the track, it was kind of a mixed bag. You really didn't know what you were going to get. But again, most of those mile and a halves, they just feel real tight on cold tires.
It does. Just want to give a bit of a shout out to the chat. Jacqueline Taylor says, excited you're back. We're excited to be back here through Wide TV, and just really excited to be able to broadcast this race and put something special together. And thank you for tuning in and being active in the chat again. Just like I told, human thing to do. It really helps Carlos and 3WTV to get that interaction. It really boosts it up in the algorithm, which in turn also helps out Jimmy and his whole family. Dustin brings a little bit of awareness to Jimmystrong the more that the stream kind of gets promoted. So again, thank you for being active in chat now more than ever. On track, I'm trying to kind of follow along with this gap between our leaders, and Michael Conti just blew by Bryson. And those fresh tires, they didn't make it hard on him, that's for sure. He got around him like he was standing still. Now Bryson's kind of fallen into the clutches of Benefield, who's currently in third. And I think for this stint, we're going to see kind of the same story we saw before, Dustin. I think Conti's going to try and set sail here.
Yeah, and I saw Conti pull up. He ran Adam down pretty quickly, and then he rode there. He rode there for a long time behind Adam. And for him to have now 1.6 seconds on Adam, it tells me he was saving. He was riding there behind Adam for a little while. He let Delaney kind of reel him in a little bit, and then decided, okay, it's time to go. Then he's running identical lap times to Delaney now, who has, again, 3-lap fresher tires. So maybe a little bit of tire saving strategy right there to ride behind Adam for a minute.
That definitely could have been. Conservation has been, I think, the key word tonight. It's been very important. It's benefited various drivers throughout the night, and it's especially with these long green flag runs we've had. Again, no caution for cause yet in stage 3. Again, I'm going to knock on wood. But if you can conserve in these long green flag conditions, that is a huge benefit, especially at a track like Rockingham. Again, this track is, man, I just love this place. It's so rough. It's so different. And, me being a little bit overly nostalgic, it is such a throwback track. It's not disappointed, that's for sure.
Yeah, these three right here battling. This is exciting. This takes you back to last year's championship chase. These three guys duking it out like they did race in, race out. Very different approaches, very different types of drivers, I mean, I just got a puppy, right? I just got a puppy about a week and a half ago. He's just this little rambunctious little fella, he gets the zoomies and he gets moving all around. And to me, that's Delaney. He's the puppy of the group here. He just has all this energy and he's just all over the place. And then the old wily Adam, he's just going to go ahead and back it down and just take what he's got. And Bryson, he's always just up to something. He's that little smart dog. He's that cerebral guy that's just kind of trying to figure something out. But that's how I'd compare these three when I see them race against each other. It's always a lot of fun. They're different approaches to how they attack a race.
And it was a really fun dichotomy, I think. When Adam first joined the league, as we have some drivers coming down pit road and a little bit of lap traffic here for our leader. But when Adam first joined the league, Bryson at the time was, everybody kind of saw him as the car to beat. And the thing about Bryson is he's a real clean driver, maybe even to a fault, to the point where I think in a situation where 95% of people would have no problem putting the bumper to somebody to move them, not really being aggressive or dirty by any means, just kind of moving them. Bryson won't do that. I mean, he avoids contact with other cars at all times, which is maybe not necessarily what you always see in NASCAR. Then Adam comes along. And Adam's a little bit faster than Bryson in some of these races, and he's not afraid to move Bryson. He just puts the bumper to him, and I remember people just thinking, did he just do that? Did he actually move Bryson? He moved the cleanest guy in the league, and then it actually kind of lit a fire under Bryson. And I remember he moved Adam back a couple times, and I thought I was more surprised about that than I was about what Adam did. I'm like, man, Adam got Bryson so mad he actually hit somebody. It was probably some of the most fun races in the entire league.
Well, and now they're teammates, so.
Yeah, yep.
Go figure. I mean, not necessarily in the league teammates, but Bryson is with Team Conti now, so it's awesome. It's fun watching these guys work together, working with these guys. But you're right, very different approaches.
And it also shows in the lines that they're running. When those guys were all together, and they're kind of separated now, but when they were in a gaggle there, we saw that they were all running different lines through the corner. Some guys were entering lower, some guys were entering higher. So it's not just different, different approaches, but different driving styles too.
Yeah, absolutely. We've like we touched on earlier with John Delaney, LDR attacking the corners like they do to keep it from getting snapped loose off. They're doing something with their car that helps them. If we were to do the same thing, I don't know that it would. So we'll go ahead and sacrifice a little entry speed where you're tucked up behind somebody, you can't go anywhere anyway, to try and gain a little bit of exit speed and get a nose on somebody down the next straightaway. So very different approaches, and there's a lot of maturity that shows in that as well. In how somebody attacks a racetrack in a corner, and how much talent, just raw talent, some people can just depend on and rely on, whereas some people just have to be more cerebral, have to be more, think out every situation, every scenario, and put themselves in the position to be the most successful.
Absolutely the case. Looking at the timing and scoring, Delaney's not really gaining on Michael Conti right now. It's been at about 3.3 seconds for a few laps here. And so things have kind of evened out. Time will tell if either of these drivers are conserving. Benefield currently 7 seconds back. Bryson has fallen to 4th. Now 12 seconds back, actually. Cameron Stone still holding on to the top 5. He's 17 seconds back. So we're starting to see a little bit of separation. This has been a rarity, I think, tonight, to get this kind of separation. We only saw it, I think, one other time so far. But again, I think when we get back pitting, which looks like Randy Drumhiller. No, that's not Randy. That is
81. That is Robert Anderson.
Yes, Robert Anderson coming down pit road. Thank you. As this second sequence of pit stops kicks off, and likely the final sequence, it's going to bunch these guys back up, and it's going to shake this field up even more. So, just a big moment out of Jason Taylor there, really loose out of turn 2. He was able to gather that up. But on your screen, side-by-side battle, the number 42, Owen Hodgson, the number 53, Preston McRae. These guys settling it out as I've been a little contact there with Dave Few, but he got around him. And everything's just kind of settled down. It only took them 300 laps to get settled down, Dustin.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, now we are. Let's see, we went back green lap 195. We're at 298 now, so 103 laps green here. It's been a great run, great green flag run. Like you said, those who pitted 50 to 55 laps into that last stint, if they are doing that 3 pit strategy, they'll be looking at coming down pit road here probably within the next couple of laps. Otherwise, you'll see guys stretching it closer to about 325, I'm assuming. 325, 330 for their final stop.
Absolutely. Now, Michael Conti coming out of turn 4. He's going to take lap 301, meaning we got 100 laps remaining in tonight's event. And I just want to quickly remind the viewers that for the Jimmystrong 400, we do have the donation link to the GoFundMe for Kobin's family. If you feel so inclined to lend a helping hand or just donate if you can, obviously it would be a big help, and we just want to remind everybody of that. And again, we want to thank you for just tuning in, just by tuning in, you know, just by being here, just by supporting Jimmy and Dustin and his entire family. It means the world. You know, it's not always just the financial help or things like that. It's just being there. It's being a community, and it's been a great show so far tonight. These guys on track have done a phenomenal job. Speaking of doing a phenomenal job, Dustin, Jonathan Delaney has actually closed the gap the last couple laps. We talked about how it stalled out. Look at this, 0.5 over the last few laps. It was 3.3, now 2.7.
Yeah, steady, about a tenth a lap better than Michael Conti out front. But to backtrack just a little bit, Andre, thank you again for the reminder. And just so that everybody's aware, to wrap up this the broadcast today, we'll be putting up a slideshow. We opened the broadcast with it. We're going to close the broadcast with it. Slideshow. It's about a 2-minute slideshow of Kobin, Jimmy, throughout the years, through healthier years and happier years. So if you are interested, please feel free to tune into that and take it in. He's quite a guy.
And a strong guy, a warrior, absolutely. Again, just a very special race and a very good cause. I'm just glad we can kind of raise a little bit of awareness about it, and we can all kind of do our part. Kind of following along what's going on track here on the screen. We're watching our leader in one of the Jimmystrong machines there. He's got lap traffic side by side in front of him here, Dustin. That's always a scary sight.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And while I was thinking about pit strategy, you know, it really makes no sense to pit before 310. 310 is going to be your hard cut. If you do need to go the rest of the way, you can. So, you know, you get to a point where you've got this lap traffic piled up in front of you, and they're slowing you down to the point where, you know, you're getting close to your pit window, but these guys are knocking your lap times off. You're losing too much time to second place. You know, that might force your hand to come down pit road a little earlier than what you anticipated or planned on. So that's one thing that could factor in. But now that I think further, I say that, again, somebody out here on the track proving me wrong. Jason Baker comes down pit road, but I wouldn't pit until after 310, just so I could be sure I could make it the rest of the way if I needed to.
Yeah, that's a nice safety net, and I think you're right. That probably would be the call to make. So we'll probably see pit road get pretty busy here momentarily. Right now, things are pretty stable. Conti's still in the lead. John Delaney 2.4 seconds back, so slowly clicking off the laps and getting a little bit closer here and there. Benefield still P3, and then you got a ways back to Brandon Pierce. He's 24 seconds back. Looks like pit road's actually already been pretty eventful here, Dustin, as we have a lot of drivers 1 lap down that made their way down pit road. Some drivers 2 laps down that have made their second stop, including Bryson Hixenbach, who I believe has made his stop, got fresh tires, and he's back on the hunt. So we've already had some takers and just a few more holdouts. Michael Conti, John Delaney, Benefield, Pierce, Stone. I believe Alex Murray has yet to pit.
Yeah, Alex Murray, Lucas Hoytsma, Kevin Steele, RJ Root. In fact, Bryson is the first one to have pitted in this cycle. It's just been simply Michael Conti and Jonathan Delaney checking out. I mean, and if they hold this pace, there may be a 3-car lead lap finish.
And there goes Bryson to get one of his laps back. Now he just needs another one. He's got to pull a Bill Elliott and maybe unlap himself the old-fashioned way once again. As looks like the number 1. I almost said Dustin Hall was going to pass the number 16.
Hey!
But I don't think you're passing him because you're right here.
My sub is doing a great job. We're proud at the One Camp.
Absolutely, getting a stage win, leading the way, and pretty much just nailing the strategy so far. It's been a great run for Michael Conti, and not to discredit anybody else, Delaney, Benefield, these guys have had amazing nights. Cameron Stone, Bryson Hixenbach showing pace. I'm not sure if Preston caught the ball there or not. That's going to force a 3-wide situation. a scary moment for those drivers around him.
Yeah, and another one that's standing out this long run is Brandon Pierce. You know, he was running kind of top 10, top teens most of the race. Well, long run, he's really put it together in this 123 lap stint that we've had now. He's actually passed his teammate Cameron Stone and holds on to the final lead lap position. Doing a great job.
Man, oh man, this is a group of cars. You got John Delaney trying to work his way around Cameron Stone. He's got Luke Swaitzman right behind him. Just completely, I mean, that was 3 cars under a blanket. I thought for sure there was going to be some contact, but they got it gathered up. There's now another side-by-side moment between Hoytsma and Stone. Alex Murray almost.
Alex Murray there too for position.
Yeah, he almost thought about 3 wide for a minute, thought better of it, but he had a lot of momentum. He probably could have tried if he wanted to, but made probably the wise decision to wait it out until the next corner. Look at that speed. Alex Murray is on these guys.
Yeah, he must have made some adjustments, or the track is cooling off to his prep, or to fit his setup. Because he doesn't seem to be struggling the same way as he was earlier in the race when these long runs. I mean, he's at 54 laps on his tires. This was that phase where he was swatting flies last run.
Absolutely, and you say maybe the track's cooling off. I'm not sure that's it, because the track is still 115 degrees on the surface. It is a heater out there today, let me tell you. And I'm sure these guys are slip sliding around because of that heat. But look at this. Murray and Hoytsma are going to get around Cameron Stone, and Murray is still dedicated to that high line. I got to respect it. That high line reached out and bit him a few times in the last stint, but he was not deterred. He was like, I'm going to keep using this high line. We're going to get it figured out, and I think he's got it figured out. He's not really gotten into the wall at all. He's running almost as high as Michael Conti was earlier, and it's paying off. His lap times are pretty solid right now, 26 flat on very old tires. That's pretty respectable.
Yeah, that is a very putting together a very good run. Watching Cameron Stone fall though, this is kind of catching me by surprise as he comes down pit road now, or he's on pit road now. He definitely started to fade, and you see some of his teammates not fading the same way. It makes you wonder what he's doing differently to stress his tires, wear them out a little quicker than some of his teammates.
Yeah, it is kind of strange. Cameron Stone, usually pretty decent on the long runs, and I know Rockingham is a track that he's been really looking forward to. But to see him kind of fall off pace before his pit stop there, it was a little unexpected, but I mean, that's the theme of this race. We've kind of been caught off guard by a few things tonight. These guys have just been kind of proving us wrong at every turn. We think they're going to pull one strategy, they pull another. We think one driver's got it in the bag, and then somebody else comes up to challenge them. It's been an up and down night. Look at that. Jason Taylor goes around. He had to have caught the inside wall there, but he's the inside grass. Maybe he avoided contact. I don't see any damage. Did he actually save that thing? That's incredible. Take a look at the 3-wide TV replay. Follow along with that white number 12. Went out of turn 4. Turn 2 has historically been the trouble spot, but turn 4 reached out, a little bit too much throttle, and man, oh man, what a near miss that was, Dustin.
He about Cody birded those barrels.
Just about. Oh man.
Cody bird can be a verb. Oh man, that was a great save. Great job.
Unfortunate that that's another driver that's kind of fallen off the pace a little bit. That 12 car was on rails earlier tonight, and he's just kind of slowly slipped through the running order. I'm not sure if maybe the track is heating up from what it was or what's going on, but I'm noticing some drivers are getting a little bit looser than they were. Cars that seemed planted don't look that way anymore, and Jason Taylor's is one of them, as he's gotten loose a couple times before that incident, all the way down on that apron there. It's a little bit of
we are getting later in the afternoon in sim times now. 3:38, so it's gone up a degree since we last mentioned it. So yeah, track temp has risen. It's up to 116 now. I didn't catch what it was at to start the race, but definitely seems like it's come up.
So Alex Murray has made his way down pit road, and he actually overshot his stall, had to throw it in reverse and back up into his spot there. And it's one thing missing your pit stall under caution, but man, oh man, you lose so much time when you make that mistake under green, and that's a shame because we were just talking about the pace Alex Murray was showing, and hopefully he can kind of recover from it. He's got a little bit of time. We got 76 laps of racing here, so he might have lost a few seconds there, but plenty of time to get those seconds back as kind of following along with Jonathan Delaney, who's currently P2. And he's got Dave Fugue, who has fresher tires behind him. I believe Dave Fugue has fresher tires as they head into 1 and 2. Fugue's going to take that high line, try to maybe get a lap back from John. But not quite going to happen yet. John's playing some pretty good defense. And again, still has yet to pit as Benefiel comes down pit road. Look at that timing scoring on the left-hand side at 83, taking his possible final stop of the race.
Along with RJ Root.
Root, another driver who's had a lot of pace tonight, and we've kind of seen an up and down night for Root. He was backing it into the inside wall at the beginning of the race, then he was right back up inside the top 10. And you getting a little bit loose there. There's almost a moment between the 81 and the number 6. John's having a real hard time keeping these guys at bay on these older tires. You got to think he's probably feeling pretty tempted to come down pit road soon.
Well, right now he's losing time. He's not running his optimal laps that he should be running. He's got 63 laps on his tires. If he was in clear track on 63 lap tires, maybe it's worth it to stay out at that point. But at this point, well, really loose attitude again. Where you're getting passed by cars that it's not for position. They're slowing your lap times up. There comes a point where you gotta just go ahead and bite the bullet and come down pit road.
Yeah, you gotta think about the situation that you're in on track, and he was losing even more time battling with those guys, but decided to stay out nonetheless, and he may stay out another lap as we approach 3:30. There's Bryson Nixonbaugh on screen going 3 wide with teammates. That's pretty much all
Both of them.
Right
That's
there.
right. Yeah. Where's the 53?
I guess if you're going to trust anybody to go 3 wide with, you can trust your teammates, right?
That's right.
I think Alex Brinson, that number 6, may have, or number 6, the number 9, I apologize, may have gotten into the outside wall there and checked up 81 as well as Benefiel, but Benefiel on those fresher tires, he was able to avoid whatever happened there and get around both these guys. He's making up a ton of time here.
He's currently 2 laps down. He's getting one of those laps back now, passing Conti. But yeah, Conti's going to be in the same situation. You're going to see these guys come down, I think, next time by. Or at least Conti.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where they're just losing so much time. And there's really nothing to gain, I think, at this point from staying out. Regardless of when they pit from here on out, they can still make it.
Yeah, this is their lap 70 of their run. So, these guys broke it up into thirds, or at least Conti did for the first run. I imagine we'll see him. He's got traffic to deal with right now, but I imagine we'll see him come down either next time by or within the next couple laps to stick true to that 70-70-70 strategy.
At 81 on fresh tires, he's going to get one of his laps back from Conti here, possibly into the corner. And he's going to take that low line. Fresh tires are keeping that thing glued to the bottom. Not quite going to clear him yet. And I'm sure once they go through 1 and 2, they'll be able to get him. And there's Bryson trying to get one of his laps back as well. Now, as they stand, once Conti and Delaney pit, Bryson will inherit the lead, but it's going to be a situation like we saw before where he'll have it for a few laps, but he's going to be on such old tires that there's just not going to be much he can do, barring a caution coming out or something wildly bending.
And he'll have to pit again.
That's true. That he is on a different strategy as well, so just losing quite a bit of time. But going back to what I said earlier, I think Bryson took this strategy knowing that it might not work out, or maybe even knowing that it was at the call, but just willing to try something different. If you can't get him on speed, get him on strategy.
Yeah, I know that he felt like he was maybe a fourth place car today, and that he would have to kind of think outside the box to get something done. And you know, I don't fault him one bit for trying what he did. And you know, he may still end up finishing right where he was supposed to do as the leaders on pit road.
Yeah, Michael Conti coming down pit road. That leaves only Jonathan Delaney, if the timing and scoring is to be believed. He's still on track. So this is pretty identical to what we saw in that last sequence here, Dustin. Delaney just staying out a few laps longer than Conti. Bryson being one of the first to come down pit road. It's all playing out almost exactly the same, which if you're Michael Conti, that's not a bad thing because it worked out the first time.
Yeah, right here, Conti's going to be, caution on the speedway.
Oh, no.
The 12 car.
Oh, man. That changes
Jason Taylor.
everything as we have had an issue with the 12.
So the question is, did Conti get a, did Conti, yeah, Conti did go a lap down.
Now, will he be the lucky dog position is what I'm wondering because he
Well,
should have been the first car lap down.
he may be, and if he is, that's, you know, he will still start.
Oh,
Oh,
it was just a little bit of netcode there. There was no contact.
with Blake.
Take
Oh
another look
man.
at it here. Now, Blake's internet has been a cause for concern in the past. He has had some netcode issues.
I don't know that it was even netcode contact. Like I said, when you get that loose feeling off the corner, and you could see he was already out of shape. You can tell by the closing rate that Blake had here. If you back it up a little bit further there, um, I'm not sure that it even registered contact. I think I think he may have already just been upset. The car upset, pointed at the wall, sliding left, and once it slides left, there's no saving it.
That's a good point. And our producer's given us a frame by frame analysis of this. Look at that front bumper and that rear bumper. And the way the car's behaving, it's almost like he's already sideways. There's that gap between them. And yeah, no,
Yeah, I don't think it registered contact. I don't even think that was netcode. If you go back even further with that, Carlos, you can see the closing rate that Blake had on his rear bumper, like clear back to the from the center of the corner out. It looked like Jonathan or Jason Taylor was upset.
yeah, and Blake was not expecting that in the slightest. That was a huge closing rate. I mean, just he went from 5 car lengths back to being on his bumper in a split second. I mean, look at
Yeah,
this. I mean, how
just
do you
trying
even
to.
prepare for that? Is he just kind of checked up coming out of the corner? And I mean, you can't really change your momentum that quickly. You can't really shift your line without risking wrecking yourself.
Yeah, you're already on the verge of out of control.
It's just really unfortunate. We're gonna find out who gets lucky dog. Um, right now, it's showing Jason Baker as the first car lap down, and I believe actually Baker may have been the lucky dog. As some of these drivers taking a wave around. Michael Conti, of course, taking a wave around, I believe. Having just pitted and getting fresh tires. We got Jason Taylor down pit road, getting some damage fixed, getting some fresh tires. A good night has kind of gone sour for that Black Flag Motorsports machine, as he is going to be losing a lot of time here pitting. But man, yeah, this whole race, I was in the midst of saying things were playing out exactly as we had seen before, and that it was good for the leaders because it worked out the first time. But then here comes this caution to completely turn this running order in this race completely on its head.
Yeah. Actually, the lucky dog may have been Adam Benefiel.
He is
He
into
is
the
showing
board.
on the lead lap now. He's showing on the lead lap, and he was a lap down to Delaney still when that caution had come out. So
Yeah, I believe you are correct. It must have been Adam. Some of these guys, I, the timing and scoring is still kind of updating and changing. This whole running order has been so jumbled. It's going to take a minute to get this all sorted out. Right now, they're showing 5 cars on the lead lap as far as iRacing is concerned. Delaney, Bryson, Adam, Cameron, and Michael Conti. Those are the 5 that it's showing on the lead lap. Then you've got Anderson, Murray, Hodgson, Baker, Brandon Pierce, RJ Root. These guys are all 1 lap down.
yeah.
Now, the problem for Conti, he's on the lead lap, but he's going to be starting at the tail end of the longest line, having taken that wave around.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch him come through the field. We do still have, what do we have? 59 laps to go at the line this time. So plenty of time, plenty that could happen in this race to still mix it up.
Absolutely. As Jonathan Delaney rockets out to a 2 or 3 car length lead before he even gets to turn 1. Bryson's going to be P2, and he's got a slew of cars behind him. As these leaders are going to break away, they're side by side behind him. Preston McRae, Jeff Hooper, and now the 81 making a move on that 36. Jason Taylor, currently 3 laps down after that incident, but he's got fresh tires. He's getting around the 36 as well. And it's just going to take these guys just a few laps to get themselves sorted out and to be kind of running where they should as accordance to their tire wear and their pace and everything, because that just completely messed up the running order. So I trust these guys get them sorted out. Definitely. It's just going to take a moment.
Yeah, now if you're Delaney and Hicksonbaugh, what do you do with the guy who who was the biggest challenger for the win? If you're Delaney in Conti having to take a wave around here, do you push your stuff and just get out as far as you can before Conti gets through the pack, or do you save what you can so that when he gets there, you've got something to defend him with?
That's a good question. 60 laps remaining in this race is kind of 56 laps, actually. That's kind of on the verge where if you were to push your car, you're going to be really feeling it for the last 20 laps or so. So do you think you can get far out enough that you can play defense for those 20 laps? Because it's not like we went green with 20 laps to go where it's pretty much a surefire thing. You can just go out there and go all out the entire time, and there's not going to be consequences. You have to think about tire wear. This run is not going to be short enough for that. So it's a big question, and it's whatever they decide to do can have big ramifications on how their night ends.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's add to it. If you're Bryson Hicksonbaugh, what do you do? Do you save if you see Delaney go, or do you go if you see Delaney save? Do you do the opposite? Um, or do you just try and kind of match his pace and see what you have when it all shakes out? He's another one who hasn't been in this position to have to make this type of call in this race. So I know he's thinking about it. I know Bryson well enough to know that he's definitely thinking about it, and he is at Delaney's bumper. Lot of questions yet to be answered in this one.
And it's a little bit more interesting when you realize the history between Bryson and John. It's kind of a common thing in NASCAR for commentators to say, man, these two guys really don't like each other, but these guys really don't like each other. In fact, I think John might be the only guy in the entire league that Bryson is willing to move. I mean, I mentioned earlier that, when Adam first came in, he was really aggressive and he really got under Bryson's skin for a little while there. Eventually they made good. Like you said, they're teammates now. They get along. They respect each other. I don't think there's a whole lot of respect or a whole lot of love between these two. I think it's just I want to beat the other guy, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to do so.
Yeah, here's the other thing to kind of keep your eye on. Adam Benefield started at the tail end of the field with his. He only started in front of the waiver rounds with his lucky dog, and he is now within a second of those leaders.
Yeah, he's closed in 1.5 seconds since the drop of the green. After the initial outlap, he was about 2.5 back, and now only a second back. So he is flying. Definitely one of the fastest cars on track. And I think you give it a few more laps, he's going to be up to the leaders. It's just going to be a matter of can he make the pass. And luckily for him, this little rivalry between Bryson Hicksonbaugh and Jonathan Delaney, it's going to play in his favor because these guys are going to race each other hard. They're not going to worry about slowing each other down. If anything, they want to slow each other down. And while they're doing that, you got Adam back here kind of running his own race saying, yeah, you guys do that. I'm going to stay back here and I'll get to you.
Yeah. I'm watching Nolan Hodgson here. What is he doing? he's a lap down here. The first car 1 lap down, and he's up here passing the leaders.
You know, I'm not sure I ever really know what Nolan's doing, but he's making an effort at it here. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'd say he's driving the heck out of it, trying to get that lap back the old-fashioned way.
Have to call him Nolan Elliott after this as he gets big loose.
Just get out of there, dude. What are you doing? That costed John.
3 wide contact.
Oh,
holy!
What a save!
Goodness. Man, oh man, I thought they were both going around there. I mean, Adam sent it in 3 wide. Nolan opened the door with that mistake. And Adam saw a gap, and that gap was there. But I think John looked in his mirror, and he kind of panicked and tried to close it real quick. And that was not a gap he should have tried to close because Adam was already there.
Yeah, Adam was definitely there. He wasn't clear down to the yellow line, but he didn't really deviate from the line he was running either. Then they came together. It was definitely an abrupt move, top to bottom. Delaney hit that elevator button.
And I'm really surprised that through that all, Adam didn't get around John. I would have thought John would have come out worse for wear there, but
I think he definitely cut him a break.
Yeah, a little bit of slack there. I'd have to agree. But they're both gaining on our leader here now that they've got it sorted out. It's just going to be kind of a game here, a game of patience, trying to wait for the mistake. You talked about it earlier, Dustin. Sometimes you just got to wait for that bobble. And speaking of that, the number 6 got a little loose coming out of the corner, and he's just going to concede. He handed that right over to Benefiel. He's going to drop down to the bottom, take P2. Number 83 moves up a position, and I like that move by John. That was pretty smart. You know, he was pretty aggressive with Adam there a couple laps ago. Got a car on the wall. Not sure who it was. Might have been Giglio. Car in front of Giglio, I'm hearing.
What is that? American flag numbers.
A lot of patriotic. We haven't really mentioned it, but there is a lot of patriotic schemes in the field. That would have been Hoytsma. Okay.
Oh, Lucas Hoytsma, yeah.
But it is 4th of July weekend, so some patriotic schemes out in the field tonight. Very cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy 4th of July. And we've got another nephew who just joined actually just reported to basic training with the Navy this week. So big shout out to Casey. Proud of you, buddy.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome. Again, 4th of July weekend is kind of a time to be proud of your country, and people like your nephew Casey, well, they're the ones that keep this country going. So awesome. This battle up front, John Delaney is not fading. I thought when Benefiel got around John, I'm like, yep, Benefiel's gone. John's kind of staying on the bumper here. He's not fading. This could be a 3-car battle for the leader, Dustin.
Yeah, and don't look now, but Conti's there too. So now we've got 4 cars in this battle for the lead. I think if I had to guess, if I had to roll the dice on this one, I would say that Delaney probably, let him go because Adam was hell bent on getting there, and just kind of paced him. Just let him be the rabbit and just kind of ride there and let him determine how much tire they were going to go ahead and burn up.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, this is getting good, and we got just under 40 laps to go. Everybody's good on fuel. Everybody's good on tires. It's just a straight up race to the end. And we got 4 cars that are just so competitive up front. We've seen these guys battling in and amongst each other all night long. And I know, 37, 38 laps, that sounds like a lot, but here at Rockingham, those laps click away pretty quick. So it's definitely go time, and these guys are showing it as Adam Benefiel makes a move for the lead. 83 is going to dive down to that yellow line. Bryson trying to hook that outside and maybe channel some of that upper momentum, but it's not going to work out. New leader, Adam Benefiel on the 83 is behind them. Delaney and Conti are watching this battle transpire, and they're kind of closing in ever so slightly, kind of capitalizing on the side by side. But I think the fastest car in this group is Conti, Dustin. I mean, he is flying. The question is, when can he make these passes? He's going for 3rd now. on Jonathan Delaney. But the thing is, he's got to make this pass on the bottom. It seems like he's preferred the top all night long, so he's kind of got to go out of his element. And regardless
He
of that,
made it stick. He made it stick. Yeah, the thing that I worry about is two of these four drivers have had to come back from, through the field in this run. And that is the 83 of Adam Benefield and the one of Michael Conti. The other two started up here. They were able to go ahead and just ride this pace. Obviously, they were running at a slower pace if the 83 and the one were able to run them down. So how much will that come into play with 35 to go in this race when they've already put, say, 25, 28 laps on these tires? They're not even halfway through the stint to the finish, and how much of that rubber did they? They better hope they didn't burn up to 50% of that rubber, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. You're absolutely right, though. I mean, racing through the field is going to put a lot more wear and tear on your car. And I think one advantage that Adam Benefield and Michael Conti have is that it didn't take them that long. If they had spent numerous laps having to push their car to the absolute limit to even get up to these guys, I'd say they're in for a world of hurt in terms of tire wear. But it really only took them a handful of laps. So I think the damage they've done to their tires is minimized by how swift they were. So they're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage versus drivers like Bryson and Delaney, who started up front, didn't have to push their tires at all. But it's not an insurmountable disadvantage. It's something that I think they can overcome as long as they play their cards right, play it a little bit conservative when they can afford to. I think they're going to be in this battle for sure.
Yeah, I agree. The fastest car on the track the last couple laps, or at least in the lead pack, has been Bryson. So even though Adam got around him, was it a moment of saving? I know Bryson's a very, very smart. Like we've discussed, he's very methodical in his approach, and he won't lose track of the big picture just for a short-term gain. I am seeing Conti start to fall off from these lead two.
Well, are we seeing him fall off, or is he starting to cool his tires off and just save them for a late race charge?
I think that's what I'm catching on the team radio.
I mean, I could definitely see it again. If you've already pushed your tires, saving where you can is definitely going to help. And that may be what he's doing here. He's got Delaney kind of at bay behind him. He's watching these leaders up front battling. And I think Conti probably knows that this battle is going to heat up as the laps go down. Bryson, like you said, is a little bit faster than Adam right now. So once they get side by side and they start battling, maybe that's when third and fourth really kick on the afterburners and get up there and try to make a claim at it. But our leaders are getting into some lap traffic. The 81 of Robert Anderson. He's had a bit of an eventful night tonight, and he's not been too much of a kidney stone for these leaders. He's been pretty amicable when it comes to racing around the leaders. So I don't think he's going to be too big of an issue. But still, anytime you're a leader this late in the race, it doesn't matter how friendly of a lapper you're encountering. It's still a bit nerve-wracking.
Well, yeah, and he's not leaving the bottom either. I've raced in this league all season, and he's typically not a fun one to catch to put a lap down. He holds his line, does a great job with that, but he definitely doesn't get out of your way and cut you any slack.
Yeah, you saw him hold the bottom there, which did kind of hold up Benefield a little bit. And now Bryson trying to get around him. This has opened the door for Jonathan Delaney to catch up. Michael Conti has dropped back from Delaney. He's now in fourth, and he has the 28 of Alex Murray that is a lap down behind him. And then a little bit of a gap to the next car for position. But Delaney has really picked up the pace here, Dustin. He has closed in probably a solid 15 car lengths since we last looked, and continuing to do so.
Yeah, I'm seeing a 3/10 advantage last time by. Leaders ran 30s, mid 30s, and Delaney ran a low O. So he's definitely turned it up. And I say that, and now Adam and Bryson have both also turned it up. So Delaney did have to deal with traffic that last lap, and now they're all of the top three identical lap times last time by.
And it's just up in the booth. We have no idea who's conserving, who's showing their cards, who's holding their cards. It's really interesting to watch because I mean we're kind of in the dark here, and it could be that John does have the fastest car on the track right now, or it could be that Adam has the fastest car, and maybe he's just backing these guys up. That's a viable strategy when you're the leader. If you can keep the guys behind you while also kind of slowing their momentum and setting the pace to be a little bit lower so that you can conserve your equipment, that's a viable strategy. I mean, maybe that's something that Adam's doing too. He may not be pushing his car as hard as he could. You just never really know. What I do know is that we've got 3 cars under a blanket. We've got 24 laps to go that are just winding down incredibly quickly. This is anybody's game.
This is just what we hoped for. This is an exciting race. 3 guys who proven winners in this league. Just out to settle it. I'm excited to see how this thing plays out. We've got 22 more laps to see how it shakes out.
Delaney getting real close to the back of that 63, applying a little bit of pressure coming out of the corner. Does he give him a shot? Yes, he does. Gives him a bit of a shot, and Bryson's going to move all the way down to the track, bottom of the track, to throw a bit of a block. Delaney going to give him another shot. Probably not too happy about that block. And I'll tell you what, Adam's loving seeing this in the mirrors. There's more contact all the way down to the bottom. Bryson taking a deeper entry. Contact again. These guys are beating on each other. The number 6 trying to make it happen, but this defense is fierce.
Wow.
Bryson gets loose. That's going to put the number 6 right behind him. Who's going to give going into the corner? Does John move him? I think that's kind of a redundant question. I think John's definitely going to move him. The question is when.
Somebody needs to chime in and let them know we still got 20 laps to go.
Oh, John tries to force it up high. He drives it in deep. Can Bryson get him back on the bottom? I don't think he can. I think John's got second.
John's made it happen. Yep. John Delaney to second place. His helmet cracks me up.
You got to give props to John for that. John, he made that move clean. But Bryson was doing everything he could to keep him at bay. He was playing some really aggressive defense. Obviously, Bryson, not the biggest fan of Delaney. He's going to race him hard. And John could have thrown his hands up and said, okay, if that's how you're going to race me, I'm going to put you in the wall. But he didn't. And I think that's the difference between 2022 John and 2020 John, is that, a couple years ago, Bryson is wrecked in the wall for those blocks. And now John was just a little more patient.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. He's coming around.
And man, now he's making a move for the lead here.
Yeah, now he's playing with the wily old veteran.
Yeah, maybe can't afford to be quite as patient here. With Adam, you gotta take what you can get, because he's gonna use everything he can to try to keep that advantage, and he knows a lot of tricks that he can use.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go down to the bottom. A little bit of contact. They're gonna be side by side going into turn 1. Looks like Adam is gonna concede the position, but can he cross him over? A shot to the bumper.
Just a shot. He was solid.
As a friendly love tap, John did a good job holding on to it. And that was a perfect tap, too. I mean, that was perfectly square.
Yeah.
Looks like Benefield's going to drop back just a car length or 2, coming through 3 and 4. John is on rails right now, but I tell you, we still got 16 laps left. That's time for John's tires to fall off a bit here. Got to wonder if all this pushing and all this battling he's doing might come back to bite him right at the very end.
Yeah, well, I think we'll also see a little bit of lap traffic that could come into play. But I think John's done enough to save what he had and timed his attack at the right time. And like I said, Bryson didn't show the pace that these other 3 showed all race long, and Adam had to come through the pack. I think Delaney, the caution where Conti was trapped on pit road played into his favor, but he hasn't done anything to give it back either. So he's done everything that was within his hands to put himself in this position to basically control his destiny. He's got 13 laps to just hold it together, and I don't think the other guys are going to have much to say about it if he limits his own mistakes.
He is continuing to pull away a little bit here, continuing to gap the cars behind. He does have quite a bit of lap traffic, and he will get there before the end of the race. I don't think he's going to have too much trouble navigating it. That is something John has always been pretty decent at, is getting around lap traffic. He kind of is able to find those gaps, and he's pretty aggressive about it. So he's in a really good position, like you said. He hasn't had to go through the field like Adam and like Conti. And you're right, Bryson Ixenbaugh just hasn't quite had the pace that these other guys have. I mean, he's been a fast car all night long, but when you're running 400 laps, if you're off just by half a tenth every lap, that adds up so much over time. You have to be absolutely perfect sometimes in these races, especially when the competition is as tight as it is. I mean, with drivers like Delaney, Benefiel, Conti, I mean, this is top talent, and if you're just off by that little bit of a tick, it can pay dividends towards ruining your race in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see some good sportsmanship right there with Preston McRae stepping just getting right out of the way for Delaney to come through, even though he is a teammate of Bryson's, at Ace Moneymaker, and still good sportsmanship.
Yeah, absolutely. Preston has always been really good sport on the track. It's the 81 on fresh tires is going to get around Benefiel there. He must have just recently pitted because he is flying in that 81 right now, trying to get a lap back. Entering down on that apron, then kind of sliding up, diamonding the corner. It's 2.4 seconds. We have 9 laps of racing remaining here at Rockingham. So if you're Jonathan Delaney, it's just like the stage end. You got to hit your marks. You just got to be consistent. He's got enough of a cushion now that as long as nothing crazy happens, it's his race to lose. So just keep it consistent, navigate this lap traffic, and keep your eye on him. He's got a gaggle of cars in front of him, and any one of these lap drivers, it may not even be anything intentional. They could make a mistake. They could get loose in the corner. They could check up. Something could happen. So you have to be perfectly aware of your surroundings. Otherwise, it might be a little bit of a slip up that could cost you the race win. So he's got to be vigilant here getting through these cars.
Absolutely. Battle is heating up for second between Bryson Hixenbaugh and Adam Benefiel. We see Bryson running the top on both ends of the racetrack. Adam living and dying by the bottom.
And of course, Bryson getting that bit of a slingshot out of the corner, using that momentum, running the high line, and Adam getting the better corner entry and better center speed. And it's kind of just enough to keep Bryson at bay for now as they battle for the second podium position.
I just glance back up front to the leader as well. He's going to have to get past Cam Stone, our 5th place runner, and put him a lap down. I don't think Cameron's going to make it very easy on him.
Yeah, I disagree. I think John is probably going to be able to get around him here. Cam, yeah, he's not the biggest fan of John, but I don't think he's got quite as big of a gripe as Bryson did.
You're right. He lifted for him into turn 1.
Now, I think if it was a year ago, Cam definitely plays havoc on John's race right there.
Yeah, you're right. Well, and Jonathan Delaney out front in the Jimmystrong 400. When all this started, when I very first released the decals done by my brother-in-law who runs DEP Graphics. He is Jimmy's stepdad, but basically has been his dad all of Jimmy's life. Jonathan Delaney was one of the first ones to put the logo on his car, and he has run it ever since. So it's of course I'd love to see one of those Jimmystrong Team Conti rides up here. This doesn't break my heart to see Jonathan up here really putting it out there for Jimmy tonight.
Yep, that's what it's all about. That's what tonight is all about. And I don't think there's a driver on this track that doesn't want to see a driver with one of them decals. I don't think there's a spectator that doesn't want to see a driver with one of them decals win. If it can't be one of the Team Conti boys, it doesn't hurt to have it be Delaney. And again, just a special night all around. Whoever wins, whoever loses, it's been a great race and for a great cause either way.
I completely agree. Another one to look for. Michael Conti is dropped to where he is as Delaney takes the white. He has dropped to nearly half a lap back. So he really spent his stuff coming through the pack.
I gotta wonder if maybe there wasn't some sort of damage. Maybe he got under the wall and we didn't see it, because that almost seems like more than tire wear. It almost seems like something not quite right with the car. But coming out of
Yeah.
turn 4, it is going to be Jonathan Delaney winning the Jimmystrong 400 here at Rockingham after a hard-fought battle, taking P1. And I tell you, that was a well-earned win. I mean, fighting with Bryson and kind of maybe dealing with some very aggressive driving and doing it cleanly. A well-earned win. Adam Benefiel with an amazing second place to come back from, back through the field after that unfortunate caution, getting back on the podium. What a run for him. And of course, Bryson with the alternative strategies all night long. He finds himself on the podium.
Yeah, fantastic run, fantastic representation for Jimmy. All the paint schemes coming through through the field. It was great to see. But as we see, Jonathan Delaney burning it down to celebrate winning the Jimmystrong 400 from Rockingham Speedway.
So we're going to let John celebrate as we have the post-race results, the official post-race results. Jonathan Delaney taking the win, Adam Benefiel P2, Bryson Hicksonbaugh in third. Michael Conti made a great effort at it, burn up his tires, maybe just a little bit too much. He's going to finish P4. Cameron Stone, an impressive fifth place, coming back from his suspension. Alex Murray, quietly great all night long. It is a phenomenal night for the 28 Field Filler Racing Machine. We've got Brandon Pierce, P7, Kevin Steele, 8th, Nolan Hodgson, 9th. And rounding out your top 10 is going to be Robert Anderson. Dustin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got a text from Callie and family.
That's all right.
So I missed what you had said, what you led me to. So I
We were just
apologize.
going through the final running order. It's no big deal, Dustin. There's more important things than the running order. Jason Baker, Lucas Hoitzma. We've got Raymond Root, Dave Fugue Jr., Tanner Marty, Blake Giglio, Jason Taylor, Alex Princeton, Cody Bird, P19, Jeff Hooper, 20th. Outside of the top 20, we got Preston McRae, Randy Drumhiller, Sean O'Brien Jr., Rob Tracy, Brandon Hastings, Michael Christopher, Matt White, Jeremy Miller, David Duke, Ralph Hutchison, Chad Sanner, and Dalton Mobley rounding out your field in 32nd. So, with the final running order, we are going to try and line up an interview with our top 3 finishers. So just give us one moment. I'm going to try and bring down Bryson Hicksonbaugh. Bryson Hicksonbaugh, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Bryson, it was an interesting race all night long. We saw more strategies, I think, between the field tonight than we've seen in the last few weeks. This race opened itself up to a lot of different options when it comes to when and where you pitted. And it seemed like you were always on the alternative strategy, and it seems to have worked out pretty well. Got yourself on the podium after a good night.
Yeah, I always like doing something different here. I knew I wasn't going to be able to win doing the same thing they were, so I tried some different stuff, and it worked out here for me to get a top 3. It was really just that long stage 3 opened up some good tire strategies there at the end. I really thought I was going to finish third anyways. If it went green, I thought I could pass Adam and Cam there. Didn't think I had enough for Conti and Delaney, but ran good all night.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal race. Now, Rockingham is a bit of a different track. Obviously, it's not on the actual Cup schedule, so it was a situation where a lot of setup builders and a lot of teams were kind of starting from scratch. There really was no baseline to go off of. How did you feel about the setup you had tonight, and how challenging was it to get to a point where you liked the car you had?
I felt pretty good about it. I made the setup myself tonight, and I felt really good about it. It was probably really close to what Adam and John and Conti were able to do. I was not as good on the tires as them. They were way better than me on that front. But put a lot of time into it. Definitely could have been better. There's stuff I never really got to, but for doing it on my own this week, it felt good.
Absolutely. Now you're on a bit of a hot streak here, Bryson. You're coming off of a win last week, a third place this week. It seems like you've found a lot of pace in this next gen car. Things are starting to fall together. What does this do for confidence going forward?
Oh yeah, it feels great. It's not been a secret that I had a terrible, terrible start to the year and was not at all happy with the way the car drove or felt or anything like that. Um, they updated it a couple weeks ago, and it's felt great for me since then. I got the speed back, feel like I can actually do what I see other cars do and not murder the tires. Still need to get a little bit better on that, but I have more pace than I've had all year.
All right. Well, before we let you go, Bryson, any shout outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the guys at Team Conti for teaching me a lot this year and helping me be able to make my own setup. Um, and all the friends and family I have watching the race, thanks to them for their support every week. It's great to hear from them. It's so great that they watch this and support me in it. And also like to shout out Jimmy, Jimmystrong 400. It's unfortunate situation, but glad the community can come together and help them out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time, Bryson, and congrats on the podium.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bryce.
All right, Bryson out of the booth. Now, Dustin, I'm going to let you have a word with your teammate here, Adam Benefiel, and see how he feels about his run.
All right, sounds good. Let's track him down. Well, there he is. Adam, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, buddy.
Oh God, I used you tonight.
Well, I thought you drove a hell of a race, man. Yeah, you. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to say I'm going to strategize my pits the rest of the season on 2 or 3 laps after Adam pits, because that's got to be 4 of the last 6 pit cycles that you have pit and a caution has come out as you're exiting pit road.
Yes. Yeah. The first one was unfortunate. I think I was so caught up in listening to your sister, I really didn't get too aggravated about it. And then the second one, it's just like it is what it is at this point. Kind of just gotta take it on the chin and keep on digging.
Absolutely. Walk me through your race, man. Especially in terms of keep on digging. How many times did you have to come through the field, and what was that like?
Yeah. I mean, me and Conti got in there and kind of do what we always do, change stuff at the last minute. So we made the car better, but we had a feeling. I think it was halfway through the first stage we realized that there was something in the front end that was really hurting us long run. That was separating us from Delaney, and that's when we kind of flipped the script. You started seeing us having to push early, and we would fade long run. So lesson learned. Put that in notebook. But really, I was third place car. I knew it was going to have to be strategy that got me finishing first or second. But it was going to come down to Delaney and Conti, and it was, I don't know, this I feel like this is a long race, man. Like I feel like this is longer than 600. This was so demanding. It was hot as heck in this room, and I'm pouring with sweat. This is like watching a movie. Like you had some exciting parts, and then you had your emotional part when your sister came in, and then you had the exciting part. And I just flat out missed Delaney's left rear. I heard y'all saying it was square. I was aiming for the left rear. I just missed it. So congrats. He got lucky on that, I guess. Uh, but damn, this is for Jimmy, man. I wanted this one so bad. We had the Jimmystrong paint scheme back on it. Hadn't ran it since the championship race, and I was willing to put it all out on the line to get him this win to keep this scheme undefeated. But hey, 1-1 ain't bad. But this is so cool, and I'll probably get in trouble for this and fine. But this is the most badass thing I've ever seen a league do. Uh, I haven't got to meet Jimmy personally, but just our friendship and know how close me and you are. It's I've got to know him. I feel like pretty well, and that dude has he has pushed me to be a better person and to be a better father. Like, just stop. This is a luxury that we have, that we get to come in here and we get to do this, and it's enjoyable. And not to get so worked up over this. It's at the end of the day, it's literally a video game. There's a lot bigger things in the world, or a lot more serious. So um, he's really helped me be a better person. I love him for it. Uh, I had the wife and the kids and the family all watching. Uh, I laid it all out on the line tonight. There was nothing more I could do. So sorry we come up one spot short, but no one really gives a crap about that winner anyway. I'm the real winner. Everybody knows it. I'm gonna go have a couple of cold ones. Oh, Papa John. I don't know if he was here, but that's my guy. I can't wait to have a beer with him one day.
Yeah, well, you may want to go catch up to it with that winner and get you a dude wipe for that hot room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I'm proud of you, buddy. Thank you for everything.
Heck yeah,
Great
man.
job. You
Hey,
already gave your shout, so
yeah, well, I gotta say thanks to Carlos and Dirt here for doing this. This is really cool. Um, and the league admins too, Damaris and Kevin. This is really cool what y'all did. Damaris, I'm sorry I said a cuss word. It is what it is. But hey, I enjoy it as always. Maybe next week we'll wreck them. Maybe we'll get the job done and finish them off.
thank you, Adam.
See you, buddy.
See ya.
Adam Benefiel out of the booth, and one position short, but not for lack of trying. He put on a great effort and a great run, and again, just a great race. We're gonna have a word with our winner, John Delaney. See how he's feeling right now. As I'm still in the iRacing session, I'm pretty sure I still see his car parked in victory lane, so I think he's having a good time. Let's bring him up. John Delaney, you got a copy?
Yes, I guess. Hello, there we go.
There you go.
I do, Andre.
Well, John, a stage win and a race win. You can't ask for much more. You had one of the fastest cars on the track, and then everything fell in your favor. That caution came out, and it kind of put the race under your control. Walk me through your night, man.
Oh yeah, this was. Oh man, I'm sweating. That was a tough race. That was a very tough race. One of the hardest races all year. To win by far. Everyone was just so close between me, Conti, Bryson, and Adam. There really was no telling of who was going to win. So, it was just back and forth. We got lucky during that last caution there. We put us in the lead and kind of just we fell back to third or fourth there, just trying to save tires. And then around 20 to go, I put the gas pedal down and started cruising, trying to pick them off one at a time, and we were able to do that. And yeah, we came up in victory lane. But yeah, this was a tough one to win for sure.
Now, I don't like to stir up unnecessary drama, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about it. You and Bryson had a bit of a battle. Well, I shouldn't say you guys had a battle. Bryson was racing you real hard, and to your credit, John, you showed a lot of patience, despite a lot of blocking and some aggressive driving by Bryson. You got around him clean. What was going through your mind when you were racing with him?
I don't know. He's I don't know. I just didn't want to wreck him for the spot. That was pretty much it. Just not to wreck him. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, again, it was props to you for getting around him and just keeping it clean. I think racing like that is what gains a lot of respect. And man, on top of winning, you just had a phenomenal night out there. But before we let you go, John, is there any shout outs you'd like to make?
Oh, of course. Everyone at Lockdown Racing. You guys up in the booth for broadcasting, the admins of this league, um, all our sponsors at Lockdown, SimSeed, Sparko, MPI, Dude Wipes, Deathwish Coffee, Maconi Setup Shop, everyone that supports us. Let's see, everyone watching at home, thank you for watching. Shout out to the family watching. And then, of course, the Jimmy, of course. This race was dedicated to him. So I just gotta, I'll dedicate this win for him. Personally, I've gone through kind of the same thing that Dustin and his relatives are going through. So I know how hard it can be. So yeah, that's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you, John.
Hey,
Thanks for your time. Go
before
ahead.
Andre turns you loose, I got a text after you won that race there, John. It's Dustin, by the way. Hi, bud.
Hello, Dustin.
Good race, buddy. Good win. I got a text from my family. Yeah, they wanted me to make sure that I congratulated you and told you thank you for your support like from the beginning. As soon as I released those decals, they were on your car, and we appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, man. You can have it back, Andre.
Alrighty. John, again, thank you for your time and just to kind of echo the sentiment that Dustin kind of put out there. I'm sure it means the world to the family, that the support you've given them. So we'll see you next week, John.
See you guys.
And that is our race winner out of the booth. Now, instead of our typical post-race coverage, we are, as Dustin mentioned, going to have a slideshow featuring photos of Jimmy throughout the years. Before we kick it off to that there, Dustin, is there any closing thoughts you'd like to put out there?
Man, what a great race. Huge thank you again to Damaris and Kevin for honoring Jimmy with this race. I'm so glad it turned out to be a great one. Guys just leaving it all out there for a guy who's leaving it all out there, and that's what it's all about. It means a lot. Carlos, thank you so much, man. Andre, thank you. Um, it means a lot. Like I said before, we wanted this race broadcasted. I mean, I was willing to do whatever it took, and you guys didn't require anything of me other than hanging out with you for a race I was suspended for anyway. So uh, happy to have hung out with you, Andre. I'm learning a lot about you, man. Uh, and a lot from you, I should say. In this broadcast, I feel like you bring the races to life, and I appreciate you. Um, but all the same, guys, Kobin, I love you, buddy. I'm glad we got to put this together for you. I'm glad the guys put on a heck of a show for you, and that's what it is, man. It was all for you. You know, you're motivating us to be more resilient, to be stronger fighters, to compete harder. You're inspiring, and I know that you don't really like the attention. You don't really like the praise or the accolade, but buddy, you've earned it, and I'm proud of you.